working again.
Well, that man there, Andy Burnham, promises change as the knives start to come out for Sir Keir Starmer. But
I will stand, and I've said repeatedly, I'm not going to walk away from that.
well, Starmer, he's like Teflon. He ain't going anywhere as pressure mounts from Labour backbenchers and even his own cabinet. Plus, a major rail crash in Bedford has left dozens injured and caused travel chaos. GBNews' Jack Carson was at the scene and has the latest.
There's been a mass emergency response here to the collision of two trains which passengers on board described as a sudden crash. The British Transport Police have confirmed one person has died.
You only wanted unconditional surrender. And, well, the MOU doesn't look like unconditional surrender.
Well, it really probably is unconditional surrender.
It is?
Elsewhere tonight, has Iran agreed to unconditional surrender, and are the cracks already beginning to show as Israel and Lebanon exchange fire? The Middle East shows no signs of cooling down. Plus,
Donald J. Trump.
And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free.
now, I was lucky enough to be there today. I'm still absolutely buzzing as the President unveiled the brand new Air Force One aeroplane, and you won't believe just how amazing it is on the inside. I've never seen anything like it. Also, World Cup fever over this side of the pond in the USA as the Americans defeat the Aussies 2-0. Sorry to my producer Cooper, the Aussie from down under. Scotland playing right now against Morocco. I'm Ben Leo and this is The Late Show Live. Good morning to you. Hope you're doing well. Joining me in DC this evening is my panel. We've got Greg Swenson and TJ McCormack. And in London, we've got Jane Stevenson and Stella Chaptakidou. Good to see you, ladies. Thank you for your company. We'll catch up very shortly. Right, so before we move on to our main story this evening, as I just said, I have raced back. I just about made the show, by the way, you lucky so-and-sos, from Joint Base Andrews in Maryland, where we followed President Trump in the motorcade because, well, we thought he was just going to jump into Marine One, the helicopter, and buzz off to Camp David and maybe speak to us on the tarmac. However, we were treated, the White House press pool, to a very first exclusive look at the new presidential plane. And here it is on your screens now if you're watching on telly. It's the $400 million jet. It's a Boeing 7878 from Qatar. It was an unconditional gift. And yeah, President Trump stepping out from the stairs to speak to the press, speak to members of the military who were there, and basically show it off. It is one of the most impressive planes I have ever seen. Trump says it's about double the size of the previous Air Force One. Here he is signing the undercarriage of the plane with a special message shortly before he was speaking to the press. And yeah, it's going to be in use immediately. President Trump taking the final flight on the old Air Force One plane less than 24 hours ago, coming back from the G7. We were given a tour of the inside. Unfortunately, no cameras were allowed, so I had to remember it all off by heart, as you would some sort of court case in the UK. But Greg and TJ, inside, just beautiful mahogany wood everywhere, very classy. All the seat belts have the presidential seal on it. The press area, which is obviously most important for me and my colleagues and Bev, it's better than British Airways first class. The seats are massive, they recline into full beds, it's huge. We saw President Trump's office, TJ, various meeting rooms as well, great artwork on the walls of monuments and memorials all across Washington DC. Some controversy though, Greg, because of course it's the $400 million jet from Qatar, which some people don't like. Why don't they like that?
Well, of course, because they don't like anything the president does. So, you know, the Trump derangement syndrome is alive and well. And I would argue $400 million from the Qataris is better than $400 million from American taxpayers. So, look, I think it's great news. I've heard that, I've never been on Air Force One, but I've heard the old ones are getting a little long in the tooth. Yeah,
I think I said, did I say 7878? It's a 7478. Apologies.
What are we going to do? Look, this is what America does fantastically. We unveil. We unveil brilliantly. We got a great day of news. This is a happy thing for Trump. He looks gorgeous. The plane is gorgeous. It's free. And so it's a good thing.
Do I look gorgeous, TJ?
You look gorgeous. I think we've got three gorgeous dudes right here.
Appreciate it. And the ladies back in London. Right, enough of that. We'll get stuck into Air Force One a bit later on in the show properly. But for now, let's move on to our main news this evening, which is, of course, the big news from last night. Andy Burnham stormed to victory in the Makerfield by-election as he now sets sets his sights on number 10. In his victory speech, Burnham declared the result a turning point and vowed to set out a new path for Britain, calling major economic change and political change on the horizon.
The word Makerfield in the future must be known as a byword for the change that came to British politics. This is the moment. We've been on a path for 40 years that simply hasn't worked for people and places in this part of the world. And this now is the change moment. We have an opportunity to turn the tide, to make the country feel like it's working again, to make people see that politics can make a positive difference, to make people feel hope again.
Well, there we go. Do you believe him? Prime Minister Keir Starmer, meanwhile, he's like Teflon, isn't he? He insists he won't step aside and says he's prepared to fight any leadership contest.
Well, there isn't a leadership contest at the moment. There isn't one at the moment. But as I've said on many, many occasions, I don't think that's a good thing for the country, to plunge us into chaos. I would also add that now that Andy has won, which is really important, really good, he's a huge asset to us, then now will inevitably be a Manchester mayoralty by-election starting straight away. So it's important that we pull together for that. But if there is a contest, just to be clear with you, then yes, I will run, I will stand. And I've said repeatedly, I'm not going to walk away from that.
Well, in the last few hours, reports are claiming that both Ed Miliband and Shabana Mahmood have told Keir Starmer to set out a timeline for his departure. So, I mean, it's fair to say he's lost the dressing room. But how long has the PM got with Andy Burnham's path to number 10 now even clearer? Well, with me now is political editor of The Independent, David Maddox. David, good morning. Welcome to the Late Show Live. That is the question for you. How long has the PM got? How long will he try and fight this out?
I mean, it's now just a question of whether he goes in a dignified manner or, you know, he goes in a fairly brutal, humiliating manner. He could choose dignity this weekend and quit on Monday, Tuesday at the latest at the cabinet meeting. Otherwise, he's going to be forced out by ministers, or he'll fight a leadership election, which nobody wants. They all want a coronation for Andy Burnham, and he'll lose badly. You know, this is his last chance to get out with, you know, some saving grace.
Just educate me, David. Any leadership election, will it just be Starmer and Burnham, or would there be any other sort of faces involved? And also, when could we expect it to kick off?
Well, this is a kind of million-dollar question, if you like. There are other potential candidates. I mean, obviously, Wes Streeting, the former health secretary, if he can muster the 80 nominations needed for MPs, then he will definitely stand. Keir Starmer doesn't need anybody to nominate him because he's the incumbent, so he can just stand. The same with Andy Burnham, he would need 80. It kind of limits the number who could run. I don't think we'll see people like Angela Rayner running now that Andy Burnham's there. I think she will support him. It's been fairly clear. And Ed Miliband is obviously keeping his fingers crossed to be Chancellor, which I don't think is going to happen.
David, you are a scoop machine, and your latest scoop is that Heidi Alexander apparently has told Keir Starmer to go. The latest on that, has he lost the entire cabinet now? We've got Shabana Mahmood as well, and even Ed Miliband, of all people. I'm not sure. I mean, it's the kiss of death if you've got Miliband calling for you to go.
I mean, Ed Miliband knows what it's like to be a leader with people calling for them to go. I mean, his terms ended fairly badly. But look, I mean, I actually think Heidi Alexander was quite significant because she was a kind of ultimate loyalist. She stuck by him for all those MPs quitting his ministerial team and signing up saying he's got to go. And now, you know, she was the first one to have a conversation with him to say, sorry, Keir, it's over. You've got to quit. You've got to set a timetable to go. I don't know if she's backed Andy Burnham, but I mean, most of us have. Most of us now just say, let's have a coronation. Let's get this over and done with quickly so we can get on with, you know, resetting Labour, changing Labour and, you know, putting a positive message, having somebody with some empathy, some charisma and some ability to communicate in the top job in British politics.
Yeah, well said. Is it, last question to you, David, before I let you go, just briefly, does charisma matter? Because I've always argued it does. It's maybe 50% of the job done if you've got some charisma and you can speak to people and you're likeable. Keir Starmer, I mean, objectively doesn't have much charisma, but Boris Johnson did have charisma and he was one of the worst PMs we've ever had, I'd argue. So how important is charisma for a Prime Minister?
I think it's hugely important. I mean, Boris managed to get Brexit over the line 10 years ago. In the referendum, he was a successful London mayor. He won a big victory as Prime Minister on his own bat, as opposed to everybody hating everybody else, which is what happened to Keir Starmer. So Boris's charisma took him a long way. The fact that he wasn't very good at the job is a different matter altogether. You do have to be good at the job as well. But the trouble is that Keir Starmer's been neither. He's not got charisma, empathy, any ability to communicate, and most of the decisions he's made he's had to reverse ferret on because they've been a total disaster. I mean, he's honestly one of the worst prime ministers in my professional career.
David, thank you so much. Really appreciate you being with us. As always, we'll catch up again soon. David Maddox there, political editor of The Independent. Right, let's get the thoughts of our ladies in London. I'm joined this evening by former Tory MP Jane Stevenson and political commentator Stella Chantakidou. Good evening to you both. Stella, I'll start with you. Yasu, how did you celebrate last night? I bet you were absolutely loving it.
Exhausted because I didn't sleep for most of it, but it was an amazing result. Nobody expected it. We did expect to win, that was what internal polling showed, but not by that margin. And it really does show that there were a lot of people who, there was a Burnham voter, as a lot of insiders from the Labour Party used to call it. There were people who, we didn't know it, but they did come out to vote for Andy Burnham.
Was this, Stella, a vote to get rid of Keir Starmer, or was it more pro-Burnham?
I would say it's both. There was definitely a big get Keir Starmer out vote, but what you saw from the doorstep was that there were a lot of people who were personally aware of who Andy Burnham is. A lot of people knew that he's the mayor of Manchester. A lot of people have a lot of warmth about him. There are so many people who have personal stories about meeting Andy Burnham and how he has helped them in very considerate ways that you don't often hear about other politicians. And a lot of people just really liked the fact that they felt like, oh, you know what, Andy Burnham is one of us. He speaks like us. He's from around here. His kids go to our school. He sounds like us. So I guess you could say it's a bit of both.
Okay. Jane, when do you think we'll get a general election? Another one? And also, just tell me, Jane, as a former Tory MP, your thoughts on the rights, reform, restore, also your party, the Tories. What's going on there? Because they all got walloped, let's be frank.
Well, not in Aberdeen South. The Conservatives didn't. They ran a really intelligent, very hyper-focused campaign. And those were, Aberdeen South and Makerfield, were two single-issue by-elections. In Aberdeen, on the oil and gas industry, which Kemi has put forward some sensible proposals, and that proved really popular, getting half the vote there. In Makerfield, this was the get rid of Keir Starmer election. So I hate the fact the right is fragmented because it handed Labour this massive majority. I think, as Jacob Rees-Mogg has been calling since the last election, there should be, where there's common ground, a little bit of cooperation. But what we're seeing is seats naturally selecting the most likely party to beat Labour or beat the SNP or whatever. So in Aberdeen, that was the Conservatives. In Makerfield, it was Reform, but I think it was a really difficult pivot for them because their local election campaign, they'd spent 8 weeks saying, you know, vote Reform, get Starmer out. And then in Makerfield, they had to pivot to vote Reform, keep Starmer in. So I think it was a tough gig, and I think what is underestimated is the dislike for Keir Starmer. And you saw the Green vote and the Lib Dem vote almost all go over to Labour. You saw the Conservative vote split. I suspect some to Reform, some to Labour. But this was probably the only chance that the British public, or certainly the public in Makerfield, had to force Starmer to actually face facts that his time in office is coming to a close.
Yeah, I just wonder what I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall in Keir Starmer's lounge or front room, you know, when he woke up in the morning. Maybe he didn't watch the coverage live. Maybe he was tuned into GB News, who knows? But I would have loved to have seen his reaction and just gauge his thoughts now. I know he said he's going to be sticky around, but come on. I mean, let's be honest, he's totally finished. Ladies, thank you very much. Appreciate it. We'll catch up with you fairly shortly. Let's speak to my panel here in DC, Greg Swenson and TJ McCormack. Hello, lads. Welcome along. Greg, so many things to talk about. Should we talk about the right of politics, i.e. reform, restore and the Tories? Because if there is a general election coming imminently, judging by Makerfield, I know it's just a by-election in one constituency, the right of things needs to get their ducks in a row.
They really do, because even if they had, if you combine the vote of the three parties on the right,
still wasn't
they
enough.
Still wouldn't have beat
Burnham.
The winner, Burnham. Thank you. So look, this is something where maybe that's not the best example, but that's also a district or a constituency that went predominantly, I mean, heavily for Brexit. So you know, I thought that would be a real wind, you know, kind
so why
of
did they vote for him then?
for
Because
reform.
In the campaign trail, he was talking about rejoining the EU before reverse ferreting. If this is such a Leave-heavy area, and it is, I mean, they're very trusting Leave voters, aren't they?
Right, and I think that's what's confusing about the whole thing. So I think, you know, look, if they're still divided at election time in 3 years, it's going to be really difficult for all of the parties, because I think last night demonstrated that, in spite of Aberdeen South, which is good news for the Tories. But that was a very specific election. The guy ran a fantastic campaign, and then of course you had the oil and gas issue, which has really devastated that part of the world. So I don't think you can really look at either one of these, you know, as a sort of
and make a wider conclusion. TJ, I was just hoping to speak to President Trump on the tarmac at Joint Base Andrews. Unfortunately, he just hopped straight onto Marine One. I would have asked him though. I would have said, Mr. President, they called it a special election here. Big special election in the UK last night. It looks like Keir Starmer is going to be challenged for the Premiership. What would you welcome a change of leader? What do you think he'd say, knowing that Starmer could soon be out?
Well, I've been saying for a long time he's no Winston Churchill. You know, he'd probably say something glad-handing and nice and complimentary, because you know he's not the type to pile on necessarily. But you know, he'd probably say, look, the people spoke. I think this guy Burnham is a talented guy. You know, he'd the platitudes. He'd throw the platitudes at Burnham, and Burnham is talented, and Starmer. And Starmer is, you know, kind of a tragedy.
Do you think Trump would want a change of PM?
I think he likes dominating. I think he likes it, but at the same time, I know he wants to get stuff done. And Starmer so far has just been, it seems like, a bit too slow to catch up to what Trump wants.
Yeah, it seems like the president really has had enough of Keir Starmer, judging by the behaviour of the G7.
Totally. I mean, he's completely done with Keir Starmer. I mean, that, you know, I thought Starmer managed the relationship pretty well the first year, but once he started to crack.
Burnham will play ball. He'll play ball with Trump.
Yeah.
You reckon?
I do.
Yeah.
Knows where his bread's buttered.
Yep.
Right. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. GBnews.com/yoursay. I'm afraid to say, viewers and listeners, because I sprinted from Joint Base Andrews, I have no laptop or anything else of importance. So I will try and get to your says, but it will be on my phone, which is a lot slower process. But keep them coming in. GBnews.com/yoursay. For now, still ahead on the Late Show Live tonight.
He's been very clear that if there is a contest, he will enter it. And we really hope that Keir Starmer reflects on the results of this, the resounding message that has come from the people of Makerfield.
That was Louise Haigh, the former Transport Minister, giving her thoughts on the election. Elsewhere, also find out why Italian PM Giorgia Meloni is accusing President Trump of fabricating stories. Would he? But first tonight.
So when I say permanently, it should be permanently. But if it's not permanently, we will bomb them. They will be bombed, just like I bombed them on Wednesday night and Tuesday night.
Begin to show in the US-Iran ceasefire as President Trump orders Israel to agree to a ceasefire with Hezbollah. Will it be lasting? Are we going to get peace in the Middle East? Don't hold your breath. This is the Late Show Live. Back in a sec.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
Because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Dubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From court mornings
to warm family brunches,
from football to tennis, in the car,
in the kitchen.
GB News Breakfast is there with the stories you need and the conversations that matter.
Anyway, let's talk business.
Well, it has been a historic night in British politics.
It's astonishing, isn't it?
We're here again to start your day just right. GB News Breakfast.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Britain's news channel.
Some people enjoy lazy Sunday mornings, but not me.
What's the truth of the matter?
So that's a very live question.
Would you support him if he waters down these plans?
Before the spin sets in, I'll be getting to the truth.
This is personal.
No soft questions, no easy answers.
It's one thing if the state has rules in this country. It's another thing whether the police and others actually police them.
Setting the agenda and holding those in power to account.
You can't really blame her if the system is set up this way. You will not want to miss it, trust me.
The Camilla Tominey Show, Sundays from 9:30, only on GB News.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk
No,
now?
that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact is Trump made a good start. No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
One person has sadly died and 33 have suffered very serious injuries after two trains collided in the Bedford area. A major incident has been declared with police, firefighters, ambulance crews and air ambulances all at the scene. Local hospitals have urged the public not to attend A&E unless they have a genuine emergency. GB News national reporter Jack Carson filed this report earlier from the scene.
Well, the emergency response just south of Bedford to this train collision is continuing overnight. The British Transport Police have confirmed that one person has sadly died and many more are injured. A major incident here has been declared. We've been here now for some time and seen the continuing emergency response, even hours after this incident occurred in the early evening of today, just south of the Bedford train station. We've still seen numerous ambulances enter the scene here. This is as close as we can get. This is the road closure point. It leads down that road to a bridge overlooking the railway. From aerial pictures we've seen, the police were able to get passengers to disembark off the train using ladders, other kinds of steps and equipment to be able to get those hundreds of passengers off what would have been an extremely busy service. But of course, from witness statements that we've had from passengers aboard that train, they described it as a sudden crash, saying that the train just stopped instantly. They said the front of the train was okay, but the third carriage was off the rails. They described their own injuries as having blood on their legs, but also an impact to their back. As we report now, as you can hear around us, more emergency sirens continue to blare out in this part of Bedfordshire. Word from the local hospitals of Luton and Dunstable Hospitals, University Hospitals Trust, but also Bedford Hospital, is that they are having to devote a lot of resources to this incident. So please only travel to the emergency A&E if required and needed to, as another emergency ambulance enters the scene behind us. The two trains involved in the collision were the 4:40 p.m. East Midlands Railway service from Corby to London St Pancras and the 3:50 p.m. Nottingham to London St Pancras service, which is the statement that we've got from East Midlands Railway at this time. We have had word from the Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, on the news of that death of somebody involved in this collision. He said, first and foremost, my thoughts are with the family of the person who has sadly lost their lives and with those who have been seriously injured. He's called it a hugely concerning reports of a collision involving two passenger trains near Bedford. The information that we have so far as to how this collision occurred is that one of the trains was stationary, stopped at a red signal, and it was a collision at the rear of the train that has meant this crash took place. Passengers describing the scary, overwhelming scenes on that train, saying that they were unaware of exactly what had happened. One witness describing it as if a bomb had gone off. Seats usually fixed to the floor, seemingly coming loose. People seen with minor and major injuries, trauma injuries, but also blood to different parts of their face and body too. Some people saying that they saw smoke and people were crying. Here at this scene of this train collision, the emergency response continues into the night.
Jack Carson there with the report from Bedford. Just really sad, isn't it? I know it's such a cliche, but you talk about how life is so short. One moment you're getting onto a train, it's a beautiful summer's day in England, as far as I understand. You get on a train and the next minute you're gone or severely injured. Thoughts go out to all the victims and that poor person who's lost their lives. I'm just about old enough to remember Potter's Bar as well. Thankfully, this doesn't sound as bad as that, but tragic and awful nonetheless. Thank you, Jack, for that. Let's move on to the Middle East now. President Trump's peace deal with Iran faced a shaky start today after fighting between Israel and Hezbollah in Lebanon. President Trump reportedly told Israel to calm down and use your head after they launched fresh strikes on Beirut this morning in response to Hezbollah's killing of 4 IDF soldiers in southern Lebanon. They've now agreed to a ceasefire. Here was the president speaking just a short time ago.
Our country's doing so well. Those ships are flowing out of the Hormuz Strait like nobody's ever seen before, actually. There were a lot of them, about 700 of them, and they're pouring out. The oil is all over the place. You're going to see oil drop so low. I hope the companies are happy about it. And now we have an agreement that was signed last night, and it's 60 days. They have to make a deal. Otherwise, we will do things that won't make them happy, but I don't think it's going to get to that. I think it's going to be very good. Remember, if we do that, then all of a sudden you're not going to have the oil flowing out of the strait too quickly, because people that own billion-dollar ships don't love missiles flying over them, don't love mines all over the water.
So what is the latest in the Middle East, and will the ceasefire last? Joining me now is member of the National Council of Resistance of Iran, Shahin Gabadi. Shahin, good morning. Thanks for joining GB News and The Late Show Live. I have some reservations about this whole deal situation. One being that reportedly, and maybe you can update me on this, there's going to be a $300 sort of reparations package going Iran's way. What's your thoughts on where we are so far?
Thanks for having me. I think you meant $300 billion. I think that's the figure that was in the memorandum of understanding. That makes a big difference. But having said this, look, so far as this regime is concerned, going for nuclear weapons, meddling in affairs of other countries, supporting proxy groups, has been part and parcel of their survival strategy. And they will continue to do so as long as they can, and I emphasize the word as long as they can. So while one, as the National Council of Resistance of Iran and its President-elect Madam Mariam Rajavi welcomed basically this understanding, because that puts an end to the people's suffering, and because, you know, the regime has used war as a shield against popular uprising throughout the past 4 decades. But one has to be vigilant and quite cognizant of the nature of this regime, and to be quite open eyes. So I think one has to wait and see how the regime in Tehran reacts, because at the end of the day, where we are today is because of the misconduct and misdeed of this regime, which is part of its basically DNA for the past 4.5 decades. So, and again, you have to keep in mind, we are talking about a 60-day understanding, which can be, you know, extended, but then comes the big, heavy lifting. the big issues, the nuclear issue, the missiles issue, the support of proxies.
Yeah, it's going to be a very fragile 60 days indeed. One thing I'd like you to tell me about, Shahin, is the Iranian people who, I keep saying, I'm like a broken record, they gave their lives en masse, tens of thousands of them in January and February in those protests. This is what kicked off the entire conflict. President Trump came out with that pretty well-made video calling on the Iranians to rise up, overthrow your government. It's the only time you're going to get in a generation to do this. Take your country back, get rid of the Islamist despots. How are they feeling about what they see right now? Because Trump himself last week was saying, well, I don't really care about regime change, which to me personally is a little bit of a tune change from months back.
Well, you know, so far as we were concerned, and we have been very steady on this, the concept, the ultimate solution to all the problems this regime has created is a regime change, obviously. But that should come and would come by the Iranian people and the organized resistance. And this has always been our view, and this is the only way forward. We have always said appeasement doesn't work. We saw the disastrous results. But at the same time, foreign war, in our view, has never been the solution for regime change. So you're absolutely correct. The Iranian people want a regime change, but this is their task of the Iranian people and the organized resistance. But at the same time, there's plenty of things that the West can do and should do. First of all, to be much more vociferous about the wave of executions that is going on in Iran, and there has not been much talk about it. I mean, as of this week, 36 dissidents have been executed in the past 2 months alone, and you don't see much reaction by the West. Actually, there's a big protest scheduled to happen tomorrow in Paris with, you know, upward to 100,000 people about this, saying, speak about Iranian people, speak against the execution of dissidents, and go for regime change, but by the Iranian people and the organized resistance. So I think you made a very, very important point here. The West should be on the side of the Iranian people for regime change by a good policy.
Okay, Shahin, thank you so much. Appreciate you being with us. Shahin Gabadi, member of the National Council of Resistance of Iran. Let's get the thoughts of my panel here in DC, Greg and TJ. Greg, I guess on the positive side of things, gas prices tumbling, oil is now at something like $77 a barrel. Average gas prices are what, below $4 a gallon?
Below $4, and in the red states, they're hovering around, you know, anywhere from $3 to $3.50 a gallon.
Are Americans happy then? They just want this to end?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think it was a short-term nuisance to have higher gas prices. There's no doubt about that. I don't want to underestimate the effect that can have. But it's a short time. It's basically a short-term supply issue, and that's something that's going to change. It's already started to. 12.5 million barrels came out of the Strait overnight or yesterday on 3 Saudi super tankers. I mean, the prices are going to come down and stay down unless there's more brain damage in the Strait, which there very well could be.
And yet, at the same time, this was a price that a lot of Trump supporters were willing to pay. Yeah. This was a price that a lot of Americans, even in the middle, that moderate middle, they were willing to pay that price at the pump because this was sold as finally finishing 47-year-old business that goes back to the taking of the embassy in Tehran. This goes back to when I was a child. And that's what this was sold as. And the deal was sold as going to be better than Obama. All he did was criticize Obama. And so you can hear the strain here. I'm a Trump supporter, and we're having a hard time backing our guy up because it's all starting to kind of crumble away here, all of the rationale for doing this, and it kind of feels like we've come 360 degrees.
Well, if the rationale was no nuclear weapon for the regime, that's been accomplished. And that,
well, it has. I mean, that's being thrashed out in the next 60 days, no?
Right, but that's the biggest
even that
part
they're
of it.
still talking about,
yeah,
right?
But there's no way there's going to be any chance of a nuclear weapon for the regime. And then, of course, you have, you know, any deal is going to be performance-based. So whenever I hear this argument about it, oh, this is not as good as the JCPOA, completely absurd. There were sunset clauses in the JCPOA. There were no inspections. Even the IAEA said they kept refining. You know, they kept up the enrichment of uranium.
Can you see why people are a bit miffed, though?
Of course.
I mean, I'm not a massive Trump sycophant, despite what people like to accuse me of on social media. I'll praise him when he deserves it. I'll criticise him when he deserves it.
Balls and strikes.
i.e. flagging off NATO. Sure. However, So you're at a point now where gas prices are still higher than before the conflict started. There is no regime change. The Iranians haven't overthrown their government, and Trump has said, well, that's because they'll get shot if they walk out the front door. Fine, fair enough. And they still haven't sealed the deal on the nuclear issue. And you're going to lob $100 billion of your money, Greg, and your money, TJ,
not my money,
to war reparations.
No,
so can you see why people
$300 billion from the region that we will manage and we will control?
How much of American money?
None. So I think
that's easy to swallow.
Whereas in the JCPOA you had over $1 billion, half of which was in cash, so they could spread it around.
Those famous pallets
so they could
of
spread
cash.
it around to their terrorist proxy groups. So look, it's not cash for criminals like we had in 2016. This is help with the rebuilding. We don't want the people to starve to death. The half of the economy has been decimated. 50% of their GDP just disappeared.
Yeah.
So there has to be a bit of a Marshall Plan mentality, preferably not with my money or American taxpayer money. And so look, we're going to learn a lot in the next 60 days. But one thing that will not waver on is no nuclear weapon. That's important.
Okay. Well, the no nukes is great. I guess I'm just disappointed in the fact that you've still got an Islamist regime running the gap.
I'm with you on that.
At the start of this, we were under the impression Trump says he never promised anything. Okay, I'll take your word at that. But they're still running the gaff. They're Islamist despots. They're running proxies all across the
women, no tolerance for LGBTQ. Yeah, no, bad.
Okay, gbnews.com/your say. Get your thoughts in on the Iran situation and also that train crash that Jack was reporting on in Bedford as well. Still ahead on the Late Show Live this evening.
Donald J. Trump.
And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free.
President Trump unveils the brand new jumbo jet that's going to be serving as Air Force One. I'm going to be telling you all about it very shortly, but first tonight.
Le dichiarazioni di Donald Trump sono dichiarazioni totalmente inventate.
Giorgia Meloni, the Italian premier, has blasted the US president for reportedly making up a story about her. I'm going to tell you exactly what has caused that latest riff in a second. Do not go anywhere on the Late Show Live. It's in a sec.
Some people enjoy lazy Sunday mornings, but not me.
What's the truth of the matter?
So that's a very live question.
Would you support him if he waters down these plans?
Before the spin sets in, I'll be getting to the truth.
This is personal.
No soft questions, no easy answers.
It's one thing if the state has rules in this country. It's another thing whether the police and others actually police them.
Setting the agenda and holding those in power to account.
You can't really blame her if the system is set up this way. You will not want to miss it, trust me.
The Camilla Tominey Show, Sundays from 9:30, only on GB News.
Breaking news, live updates, stories that matter.
From the heart of the GB newsroom to every corner of Britain, with our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
GB News bulletins are there to deliver the latest news that matters to you.
Bulletins on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
Because
the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Dubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world. Am I allowed to talk now? No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up? About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I've been in Westminster for a long time, but I know that though power may be here, its effect on people's lives is across the whole of the country. We may be where rules are made, but it's where they're implemented that matters. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for forthright and frank discussion on where Britain has come from, where it's going, and where it will end up. That's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Vox Populi, Vox Dei.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to The Late Show Live on GB News. Me and Italy never beg. That's the line from Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, who has blasted President Trump today for making completely fabricated claims that she begged him for a photograph during this week's G7 summit in France.
Le dichiarazioni di Donald Trump sono dichiarazioni totalmente inventate, sono francamente allibita, non so perché il Presidente degli Stati Uniti si comporti così con i propri alleati.
Well, in that post, in case your Italian is a little bit rusty, like mine, actually it's non-existent, Meloni says Donald Trump's declarations are completely fabricated. Frankly, I am stunned. I don't know why the President of the United States behaves like this towards his allies. It is not the first time that has happened. Wow, that is emphatic. Well, with me now is Italian journalist Alina Trapattoni. Alina, great to see you. Just tell us, please, Giorgia Meloni, she is a leader I would certainly not want to mess with. She seems like a tough cookie. What are the Italians saying today on the ground?
Well, everyone's quite, taken aback, shocked, amazed, concerned, because, we are going into very unusual territory. And obviously, Premier Meloni reacted immediately, set up Instagram post out video immediately, taking very strong position in terms of what Trump said. And she's had complete backing, I would say, not only by the man on the street. I mean, most people I spoke to were, as I said, outraged, amazed, very, unsettled by the whole, development, but also politics. Very much took a very strong stand. And Italians are generally quite litigious, quite, Italian politics particularly. It's complicated, it's, very fragmented, and everyone's got a complaint, and, and the opposing parties are very vociferous in complaining about each other and what they do and policy, etc., etc. But everyone in every realm of politics in Italy came out today and backed Meloni and, expressed their solidarity to her, as did President Mattarella. An Italian foreign minister actually cancelled his trip to the United States, and a consequence of that has been that a big business forum, US-Italian business forum in Miami, has been cancelled. So, consequences are starting to emerge. Everyone's quite unsettled by these developments.
Well, glad to hear it's unified your nation. The way you describe politics there, everybody at each other's throats and so on, sounds much like the UK. Well, I guess the US as well. Let me just clarify what President Trump said. He said, she, Meloni, begged me to take a photo with her. She wanted a photo with me so badly. I could have skipped it, but I felt sorry for her. He later doubled down, saying she was a big fan, but he didn't want her as one because she wasn't there for us, referring to Italy's stance on issues such as Iran and the Strait of Hormuz. Has he got a point, though? OK, fair enough if he's fabricated her begging for a selfie. Has America got a point about Italy not being there for the Americans?
Well, it depends what point of view you take. I mean, definitely Trump thinks that, Trump evidently feels betrayed by allies in Europe, including Italy, and has made that very clear over past months. I think there's also a bit of a tug of war in terms of positioning between Meloni and Trump, and both of them appear to have very strong characters, obviously, and do not mince their words. Italy's position has shifted because obviously Italy was considered from the very start of the Trump presidency one of the closest countries to the US, one of the US closest allies, yes. And Meloni was actually, touted as, Europe's Trump whisperer for a long time. But things started to sour after Italy reduced availability to the way the US bases in Italy could be used during the Middle Eastern crisis. And of course, when Trump, slammed Pope Leo for calling for peace and being anti-war and, making his opinion be very felt in terms of that. And Meloni stepped in and, criticized Trump because, she said you can't go around criticizing religious leaders. That it all started to sour from there.
All right, well, maybe she's going the way of Keir Starmer, once called the Trump whisperer. Now he won't have anything to do with him. So there we go. Alina Grazzi, thank you very much. Alina Trapattoni, Italian journalist. Was that all right, my accent? Grazzi? Grazie.
Yeah, grazie.
Very quick word on this, Greg?
Yeah, I like Georgia Meloni, always have. I hope they kiss and make up. I think this is like Elon Musk spat with Trump about a year ago. I think they'll kiss and make up, all good. By the way, Trump is right. That was so obnoxious of Italy and our other allies not to allow us to use the bases. How about thank you for arming your countries
I wouldn't
American
take a picture
troops
with it.
You sound like JD Vance.
for 80 years.
How about thank you? What about making up the claims of a selfie, though? Who do you believe?
It sounds like Trump tongue-in-cheek. It sounds like a Trumpism, Trump being Trump. And then when he's, asked about it, he doubles down because he doubles down. That's what he does.
Yeah, okay. GBNews.com/your say. Are you Team Meloni or Team Trump? Let me know. Still ahead on The Late Show Live tonight.
Under oath, he denied knowledge of or participation in discussions with intelligence officials about viral research.
Hallelujah. I've been waiting 5 or 6 years for this. Dr. Anthony Fauci exposed as Tulsi Gabbard unleashes a whole load of new files about him and his behaviour during COVID. All that and more after the break. Do not go anywhere.
Breaking news, live updates, stories that matter.
From the heart of the GB newsroom to every corner of Britain, with our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
GB News bulletins are there to deliver the latest news that matters to you.
Bulletins on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From cold mornings
to warm family brunches.
From football to tennis. In the car.
In the kitchen.
GB News Breakfast is there. With the stories you need and the conversations that matter.
Anyway, let's talk business.
Well, it has been a historic night in British politics.
It's astonishing, isn't it?
We're here again to start your day just right. GB News Breakfast.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk
No,
now?
that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up? About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/your say. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/your say, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised. I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
isn't it?
no,
Because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes and Co weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Right, let's delve into some of the main stories on the front pages tomorrow, starting with The Telegraph, which says Cabinet turns on Starmer. It's the same theme really across all the front pages. The Mirror, up for the fight. Burnham steps up leadership battle and the PM won't back down. The Express, what a mess. Nation left in state of paralysis while Labour leadership war erupts. The Guardian, Starmer exit inevitable after Burnham victory. The Daily Mail, resign in days or face a coup. The Sun, slightly change of gear. Meg's in 6 years after Megxit. This is Harry and Meghan coming to the UK for a visit, and apparently they're going to be staying at a royal residency yet to be identified. The Weekend, Cabinet push Starmer towards exit as Burnham heads for number 10. The Times, Starmer urged to stand aside, and that's your lot. Let's take a look at the front page of the Telegraph with my panel, Greg Swenson, TJ McCormack, and in London, Conservative MP, former Tory MP, Jane Stevenson, and political commentator Stella Chantakidou. Stella, we'll start with you. Bottom of the Telegraph, the front page, girls as young as 11 are to be offered or given puberty blockers as part of this new trial. I thought we got over this nonsense. I thought we banned it all, and I thought we kind of had a realisation that everybody was just losing their minds, and we sorted it out. No, Stella?
Puberty blockers are still banned for all children. They are still banned for all children under the age of 18. This is just for a clinical trial where the minimum age is going to be 11. So any child that is going to take part will have to be with the full consent of the parent and with psychological. They will have to psychologically observe the teenagers to make sure that they are aware of what they are taking part in, and they have to be at least 11. So. I understand that the headline is very concerning. It sounds as if they will be giving puberty blockers to 11-year-olds, but the ban is still in place. Children under the age of 18 are still banned from taking puberty blockers. This is just for a very specific clinical trial, which will only start after the 1st of August.
I think it's just sick. Jane, what's your take?
I think it's terrible. I agree with you. Ben, I read about this in the Telegraph earlier, and it said it is a trial. They're still 11-year-old children, and they're going to be rewarded with up to £500 of shopping vouchers. I mean, this is just madness. We don't know the long-term effects of puberty blockers in children. They are too young to make that decision by such a long way. Aged 11, I was climbing trees, I was down ditches, I was playing chess, I was doing all sorts of things that all boys did, and there was me in the middle. If you'd have said to me, maybe you're a little boy, aged 11, I would have thought that was a possibility. I'm just glad I wasn't presented with that option. But to give puberty blockers to children is just wrong. It was Wes Streeting, I think, stopped the trials going ahead, and now we have James Murray, who is more pro-trans, I think, and he is going to let this go ahead. Thankfully, Rosie Duffield was tweeting she's going to be up for the fight again. Rosie Duffield did some great work on this.
Yeah. TJ, instead of spending, £500 in shopping vouchers for these poor girls, it reminds me of COVID. Was it Bill Blasio, the New York mayor, saying, go and get your COVID jab and we'll give you some free fries and burgers. Don't be so disgusting. Instead of spending all this time and energy on a trial for puberty blockers, why don't you spend it on trying to comfort kids and tell them that they're beautiful creatures of God, they weren't born in the wrong body, instill some confidence and love in them. This is sick.
And also just make a decision as a civilized society that we are not going to do this. If you had read this sort of thing in the history books, that it was the work of Dr. Mengele, it would make sense. This sounds like Nazi stuff, and way too many people throw around that term. But this right here is definitely the stuff of Mengele. And also, shame on any single parent who signs their child up for this. They 100%. Are vile and inhumane themselves.
I'm with you, 100%. Greg, very quickly.
So you don't want your child to be a laboratory rat. It's just sickening that people would even consider it. I hope no one does.
Oh, yeah, it's just disgusting. Greg, thank you very much. Thank you, ladies, and TJ. Right, more coming up in the next hour on The Late Show Live, including this.
Today, on my final day as Director of National Intelligence, I'm releasing never-before-seen communications and documents that expose exactly how Fauci worked with politicized career leadership in the intelligence community to suppress the truth about his...
There's been no shortage of theories about the origins of COVID-19, but today a bombshell document released from the outgoing US Director of National Intelligence has reignited the debate. All that after the break.
Today, clouds overhead, total zen within. Boxed Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello, good morning and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. The Met Office have issued an extreme heat warning for Monday and Tuesday, but before the heat intensifies through the weekend and early next week, actually today it's cloudier and it's fresher compared with the last couple of days across southern parts of the UK, where we do have a cold front moving through, and that will continue to bring a few spots of rain here and there, especially during the morning, but there'll still be some rain around into the afternoon. Showers for northern Scotland, in between some brighter skies, but more bearable temperatures. And actually, for many parts of the UK, it's a fine day, if rather cloudy. And at least we're not seeing the exceptionally high temperatures just yet. So more comfortable temperatures for Scotland, where it's a brighter day compared with the last few days. Still some showers for northern Scotland, temperatures reaching the mid to high teens. We're talking about 18 for Edinburgh, 20 somewhere across central and southern Scotland. Similar values for Northern Ireland, where it's mostly dry and bright heading into the evening. Best of the sunshine, northern and western England, parts of Wales, the cloud breaking up during the afternoon and more so in the evening. The last spots of rain clear from East Anglia overnight, and then more widespread clear spells heading into the early hours of Sunday. I think we'll still have a few showers through the night time for northern Scotland. Otherwise, for many places, it's dry, still quite muggy. Look at that 21 Celsius dawn on Tuesday in London, mid to high teens in the south, but much fresher for northern parts of the UK, and widespread sunny skies on Sunday. Another decent summer's day, and I think welcome news for Scotland, for Northern Ireland, Northern England. We've seen so much rain recently. There'll be lots of warm sunshine to come. But further south, it's turning hotter, 30, 31 Celsius on Sunday, up to the mid-30s Monday and Tuesday.
Today, clouds overhead, total zen within. Boxed Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
From cold mornings
to warm family brunches,
from football to tennis,
in the car, in the kitchen,
GB News Breakfast is there with the stories you need and the conversations that matter.
Anyway, let's talk business.
Well, it has been a historic night in British politics.
It's astonishing, isn't it?
We're here again to start your day just right. GB News Breakfast.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Some people enjoy lazy Sunday mornings, but not me.
What's the truth of the matter?
So that's a very live question.
Would you support him if he waters down these plans?
Before the spin sets in, I'll be getting to the truth.
This is personal.
No soft questions, no easy answers.
It's one thing if the state has rules in this country. It's another thing whether the police and others actually police them.
Setting the agenda and holding those in power to account.
You can't really blame her if the system is set up this way. You will not want to miss it, trust me.
The Camilla Tominey Show, Sundays from 9:30, only on GB News.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country. There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor. Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world. Am I allowed to talk now? No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up? About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I'm Tom Harwood. This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hello, good morning. Hope you're doing well. This is GB News with the stories shaping Britain and America.
This now is the change moment. We have an opportunity to turn the tide, to make the country feel like it's working again.
Well, do you believe him? Andy Burnham promises change as the knives start to come out for Sir Keir Starmer, but
I will stand, and I've said repeatedly, I'm not going to walk away from that.
Well, he's not going anywhere, apparently, as the pressure mounts from Labour backbenchers and even his own cabinet. When will Starmer go? Will he hang on? Elsewhere tonight.
You only wanted unconditional surrender. And, well, the MOU doesn't look like unconditional surrender.
Well, it really probably is unconditional surrender.
It is?
So what's the truth here? Has Iran agreed to unconditional surrender or not? And are the cracks already beginning to show as Israel and Lebanon exchange fire? The Middle East shows no signs of cooling down tonight. Plus, Tartan Army still marching strong in Boston, but I'm afraid to say breaking in the last few moments, it wasn't enough. They've just lost 1-0 to Morocco. We'll get live reaction from some lively Scots in Glasgow very shortly.
Today, on my final day as Director of National Intelligence, I'm releasing never-before-seen communications and documents that expose exactly how Fauci worked with politicized career leadership in the intelligence community to suppress the truth.
Anthony Fauci exposed as a weirdo, a little wrong-un by Tulsi Gabbard, who releases a whole set of top-secret COVID files. Who would have thought, eh? I could have told you 5 years ago. I'm Ben Leo. This is The Late Show Live. Hello, joining me in DC this evening is my panel, Greg Swenson and TJ McCormack, and in London, Jane Stevenson and Stella Chantakidou. Thank you very much, panel, for your company tonight. Let's get stuck into the football. The breaking news over the past couple of moments. Scotland's hopes of reaching the knockout stages have suffered a little bit of a blow after defeat to Morocco. They only needed a point, I'd argue, against Morocco after their big win against Haiti a few days ago in Boston. I was lucky enough to be there. Loved hanging out with the Tartan Army. Good bunch of lads and ladies. However, they've just fallen short. We'll be going live to Glasgow in just a second. However, in more positive news, Greg and TJ, your boys, the USA, they did the business against Australia earlier today, 2-0.
Yep, 2-0. And more importantly, Christian Pulisic, the captain, so-called Captain America, which is his nickname, was injured in the last game, sat out the second half of the first game, and they scratched him for today. A really good sign that the rest of the team is pretty solid without him.
Yeah, you're now top of the group. You should be good to go through, I think.
Yeah. Well, I gave my okay to the team to sit him down. I figured they called me, and Pancha asked me, and I said, let him rest. Calves are delicate. But anyway, no, look, this is great. Aussie. Oy, oy vey. Oy, oy vey. We beat them 2-0, and that's great. And, yeah, no, this is good stuff. This, I tell you what, the entire United States is completely embraced this World Cup. And it sounds like the people coming here are embracing the United States big time.
Yeah. I was lucky enough to be in where? Bolton. Not Bolton. Where? Boston. Boston. Bit of a difference. I was in Boston for the Scotland game. Luckily, they won against Haiti a few days ago. England doing the business as well. And you Americans, Greg, have embraced this World Cup like nothing else.
It's so different than 1994 when soccer, football was new to us. And none of us, our age, most of us did not play soccer when we were kids. Now all the children play soccer. It's a much bigger deal. It's so great to see the Scots welcomed in Boston. Boston's pretty stiff. It's not a very welcoming place typically. But the Scots have just charmed them.
Especially with all the Boston Irish there. There might be some pushback, literally.
That's right.
Against some of the Scots. But, you know, look, we love it. Look, I'm married to a British girl. I'm married to a Scouser, so I'm big time Liverpool.
Are you married to a Scouser?
I'm married to a Scouser, and I needed somebody to fight my fights. I needed somebody with my mouth. I needed somebody tougher than me. But no, I've become a real fan of football. I say nil.
Well, I said 0 in the first hour, and some viewers were saying, "Why are you saying 0?
I say nil, and I aggregate. I also try to, I also try to do things on aggregate in my own life. I tell my wife, I said I took out the garbage 2 out of 3 times. So.
Well, the breaking news in the past couple of moments is Scotland, unfortunately, their hopes of reaching the knockout stages has suffered a major blow. 1-0 defeat to Morocco. I didn't manage to catch the game, so I don't know how they played, but they needed a point really from this game or their game against who else is in their group? I can't remember. From their next 2 games. Hopefully they can still do it. And actually it's quite an interesting conversation because as an Englishman supporting England, I don't mind. I want Scotland to do well. I want them to, as a Brit.
Of course.
However, I don't think the feeling is reciprocated from Scots. I don't think they want the English to do well.
I've never noticed that about the Scots. I just know that they're so fired up right now, and all my Scottish friends are thrilled right now. A couple of them came over to Boston. It's exciting to watch.
I'm going back to Boston on Monday for England's game against Panama, so that should be good.
Excellent.
Let's speak to sports broadcaster Chris Scudder, who is fresh off watching the Scotland game. Chris, a real shame for Scotland. How did the game pan out?
Yeah, disappointing. 1-0. The real shame was that they conceded a goal in the second minute actually, and it was a real soft one as well. It was an offside. Grant Hanley stepped out the wrong time, and Morocco scored. Literally 1 minute and 16 seconds. After that, Scotland disappointed first half. Second half, much better. Might have had a couple of penalties actually, particularly one on Scott McTominay, which it was felt. He was fouled, and that could have got them a point. But listen, a 1-0 defeat against a team who are ranked 5th in the world is not bad at all. And your tone there, Ben, was that you thought maybe they're going to be knocked out. I'm not so sure. I think Brazil to come, 3 points might yet get them through. What they've got to avoid now is losing by a few goals, because it's going to be down a goal difference. I think 3 points might get Scotland through. 4 points definitely would. So, it's all down to next Wednesday, really, against Brazil. But, they haven't really hit the heights. They didn't in the first game either against Haiti. That was the must-win game. They did that. They were no worse today, I didn't think. But they got a bit of head up of steam towards the end of the game. But, with the Tartan Army right behind them. But it wasn't quite to be. Morocco are a very good side and probably just about edged it. But, 1-0, not the end of the world for the Scots.
Yeah, they weren't that great in the first game. I want Scotland to do well. I've got my in-laws are from Scotland, so I've got a soft spot for them. I want them to succeed. However, they weren't great against Haiti. They looked a bit... Haiti, for being such a lowly ranked team, they're the second lowest ranked team in the tournament. They looked great. And I didn't realise, Chris, are you telling me Morocco are seeded 5th? Is that the case?
5th in the world. So the top of the world rankings at the moment is Argentina, then France, Spain, then England. And then Morocco. Morocco got to the semi-final of the World Cup in Qatar, and they have won the recent AFCON, although they lost the final to Senegal. You know the story about the Senegal walking off, and then Morocco were awarded the final on home soil. And of course, they got the World Cup in 2030, and they're sharing it with Spain and Portugal. So they're a big football nation now. You know, they really are. Massive, you know, it's a deliberate thing. They've really invested in their soccer, their football in Morocco, and you know, and they're seeing the results of that. You know, it pays off, and they've got fantastic infrastructure, loads of really great kids coming through. They all play in top leagues around the world, and you know, there are some people, and I think they've certainly been there in the last week. Some people think they could win the whole thing. I'm not sure about that, but they are, you know, they got some very good players, and you know, so you know, 1-0 defeat for Scotland. When you consider Scotland are 40th in the world, you know, they did okay tonight. And if the game had gone on another 15 minutes, they might have nicked one. They were pressing towards the end, but it was just a terrible way to start the game. It was an awful goal, and you know, when you go behind, it really knocks the stuffing out of you a bit, and it also quietened the Tartan Army down too. So listen, you know, fingers crossed. They've got, you know, massive game against Brazil, who they've played in World Cups before and lost to. But you know, it's down in Miami as well, isn't it? Where it's going to be warm.
Brazil don't look that good actually in their first game.
Definitely not.
Morocco, didn't they?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they've got that syndrome that Portugal have got. You know, let's play Ronaldo, let's play Neymar. Listen, those are old guys now. I don't think Brazil are going to do it this time. And the interesting thing is, in this group now, it's going to be a shootout between Morocco and Brazil to who wins the group, and that's important for England because England are probably going to win their group. We've got that game against Ghana, of course, next week. Going to be playing the winner of the Morocco-Brazil group in the quarterfinal in Miami as well. So, you know, we're going to keep our eyes on that one. Yeah, no, listen, it's going to be massive, but England are probably going to have to go to Mexico first before that in the previous round. I know we get a bit previous on these things, but, you know, it's the big teams are starting to line up now, and there's going to be some huge occasions in the coming weeks.
All right, Chris, great stuff. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Let's go live to GB News Scotland reporter Tony Maguire, who is in Glasgow. He's about 15 lagers deep. Tony, what's the reaction on the ground, my friend? Tony, can you hear us, or have you had too many bevies? Can you hear us, Tony? Tony.
Oh, hello. Yeah.
No, Tony can't hear
sorry,
us.
it's been a lot of noise here, which is obviously a good sign, really, considering that we lost that goal after just, I think it was 75 seconds. But, you know, it's not really popped the whole party balloon for Scotland. We're seeing these scenes that are being beamed around the world of the impact the Scots are having over in Boston. And granted, I think many of them don't really want the Scots to leave, but certainly here, you know, we don't want to be sending this message that 75 seconds and we're out the tournament. We've got 3 points still from last week. We've still got Brazil, but I mean, there's no veil over anyone's eyes here. This was world number 6 against Scotland, which is world number 35. And frankly, for us to get out of that at 1-0 is pretty good. I think it just caught everybody off guard there, right? But through the match, we saw Scotland get more and more ambitious. They started heading closer and closer to the goal. Frankly, there wasn't much from them in the first 40 minutes, but then in that second half, you know, I think Scotland were quite dominant. And here at the Hydro, which is really the national team's big kind of fan party event, 5,000 people following along with all the highs and the lows of tonight's match. It was really quite incredible, actually. It's been a lot of gigs here at the Hydro, nothing quite compared to the energy that we had tonight. So yeah, I mean, it's a sensational thing. Obviously Brazil we've got next week, so we're not out yet. But the thing Scotland, that makes, there we go. The thing that makes Scotland so incredible in a tournament like this is because we kind of come in with no expectations. Sure, it's really nice to win, but frankly, I think we're all quite happy to be here. A few people said that to me tonight. But in that Brazil match, well, I'd heard a Brazilian psychic had said that on Wednesday against Brazil, there's going to be
we're going to pass together.
There's going to be an alien abduction next week.
We're going to pass, Morocco going to pass together.
Yes,
we love Morocco, we love Scotland. Free.
Tony, thank you, mate. Outnumbered there, I think, by Morocco fans. Go on, Tony, get him. Here's the Scotland fans. It's all good, hearted. Tony looks a bit gutted, doesn't he?
Yeah, a few, but I couldn't understand a word he said. Because, I mean, it's hard enough to understand the Scottish accents anyway.
Yeah.
But with the bad audio
But having
and
to
a lot of
shout and all that.
background
Tell you what, that
noise.
looked like a happy, jovial version of what happened to you in Newark.
Oh, the ice facility.
Oh,
yeah.
These guys, these were smiling.
Legend has it that man is still on loop outside the facility saying, "You start it, I'll finish it." Let's speak to the ladies in London. Former Tory MP Jane Stevenson and political commentator Stella Chantakidou. Jane, your thoughts on the World Cup thus far? Scotland losing tonight. However, England doing okay, and Scotland also kicking off the campaign with a win. So they're not totally out of it just yet, Jane.
So I was listening intently but watching the football. It was a shame they conceded early because I think Scotland, I'm really pleased they're back in the World Cup. And against Brazil, I've got high hopes they can hold them to a draw. They've met 4 times in the World Cup before and they held them to a draw in 1974. So if they do that, I think they'll progress out of their group.
Yeah, fingers crossed. I've got to say, Stella, Brazil in Miami. I think Brazil will prefer the climate, the temperatures. Hopefully I can get down there for GB News. I'll be having fun on South Beach alongside a bit of work, I guess, if I have to. But what's your thoughts on the World Cup so far? Are you enjoying it, Stella?
I always enjoy it when England is winning. I love being at the pub. I love seeing all of these British people being so excited and so happy at their victory. I love walking home afterwards, and whoever passes by, usually there will be at least some men who will try to, you know, high-five you or get you to chant with them. I just love it, and the weather has been wonderful as well this week, so what a time to be here for this.
Yeah, I've heard the weather's been gorgeous, which is great for a tournament. Stella, remind me, you're Greek, of course. You're partly Greek. Greece won the Euros in, was it 2004?
I'm fully Greek. 2004, I was a little child. One of the best years of my life. Best year for Greece. We also won the Eurovision. We held the Olympic Games in Athens that year. It was amazing. It was great. I remember literally people running out on the street. Fireworks everywhere. It was such a fantastic night. But you know what? I'm in the UK now, Ben. So you know who I'm rooting for.
Well, that and Greece aren't even in the tournament. I don't think they qualified, did they, Stella?
Yeah, I have not been observing because, you know, I have not lived in Greece for a very long time, so I have no idea what they're doing, what they're up to. I hope they're well.
Yeah. Yeah, fair enough. Greg, I think according to the brackets, England could at some point meet America, the USA, at some point. That would be a clash.
That will be exciting. It would be exciting for all of us in the GB News gang and you know, all of us that have lived in the UK before. It's an exciting time. I loved living in London during the 2 World Cups that occurred when I was there. And Stella's right. It's just such an exciting time to be, you know, walking in and out of pubs and just being out on the street in London. It's fantastic. I'm confused, Ben. Why would Brazil and Morocco be in the same group if they're 1 and 5?
It's a draw.
Because it's done
random.
As far as I remember, TJ, maybe you'll know,
Yeah.
it's done by areas where they come from, which confederation they're part of. UEFA, AFCON. What's the South American federation?
CONCACAF?
Yeah, that's the one.
Wow, I just literally pulled that out of the air, guy. That was like Anunoby and the Knicks final there. That was, I caught that. Here's my little prognostication or prediction, whichever one you want, on the Scotland thing. I think, you know, Americans love an underdog, and I think Americans are going to try to pick up the slack and support Scotland in the next match.
Okay, we've got some comments from your say on my phone, so apologies. It says, Dave, hello Dave, good morning. You've said Scotland played how I thought they would play against mediocrity. What, Dave? They were ranked 5th in the world, Morocco. They were quite frankly poor. Brazil will stuff them, so I hope they've got their return ticket ready. Dave, come on. Somebody else said Morocco, well played. Call Me Old Fashioned said, give him a Glasgow kiss, Tony. That's violent. We don't condone violence. Condone violence. Who else says? Sorry, my phone's very difficult. Everybody happy that Scotland lost. I'm not happy. I know the Scots, for the most part, don't like England, but I'm going to buck the trend. Jane, England are playing Panama in Boston on Monday. Thoughts? Are we going to do the business?
Oh, I hope so. I was really impressed with us the other night.
Sorry, Ghana, not Panama.
Ghana. Ghana? Yes. I was going to say, I thought I was going mad.
Sorry, Jane. There's a delay, so apologies. We've got Ghana, not Panama, my mistake.
Yes, exactly. I'm really excited. I'm in Wolverhampton and it is lovely. I've got my England flags up on my house. There's lots of other people with England flags up. Don't tell Emily Thornberry, she'll be very upset. But I think it's wonderful. The atmosphere is really behind the team. I think our German manager is doing great stuff. He obviously had a good chat to them in the half-time break in our last match. I'm quite positive, but I'm always a bit careful being very positive, but I thought we played really well.
Do you know what Thomas Tuchel said to them? Thomas Tuchel at half-time, apparently, according to the likes of, was it Declan Rice, my boy Deckers, he said, and this coming from a German manager, he said, remember who you are, to the England players. He said, you are English. Be brave. And I just thought, I was speaking to my cameraman about this, I thought, love it. For goodness sake, it takes a German to remind us, Stella, to remember who we are and to be courageous and be brave.
Well, I do that for you all the time, Ben. I do that for British people all the time. I tell you how great you are all the time. I try to make British people see themselves through my eyes. I continue to try, and I have plenty. By the way, and I have plenty of Union Jacks back at home, and I have St George's bunting at the moment.
Good.
And I used to work for Emily Thornberry, so yeah, you know she has. I have her stamp of approval.
Thank you, Stella. We appreciate it. Let's take a look at what Andy Burnham had to say when talking about the World Cup. He was making comparisons to the USA. Take a look.
It is our last chance to change, but we're going to take it, aren't we? We are going to take that opportunity and we are going to lay out a new path for Britain. There was a risk, if you like, that we would carry on seeing Britain and the politics of our country go down a path towards greater darkness and division, and ending up somewhere like the United States of America, where people don't talk to each other in the street if they vote different ways or in their workplace. We will not let that happen here. We will bring people back together.
Yeah, TJ, keep your toxic, divisive politics out of our country.
Don't talk to each other. You know what? There is one king of the North, and he is godlike, and he is Liam Gallagher. That is the one king of the North. Andy Burnham, you know what? That's ridiculous. And you know, and by the way, the timing is terrible on that, because as we kind of alluded to a couple of minutes ago, Europeans, let alone just the Brits who are coming over here, Europeans writ large are loving America. They're writing home about it. They're posting all over social media. America has become the darling of the world right now for our great patriotism, for our great restaurants, for our great hospitality and friendly people. You know, and look, sure, we have our debates. You know, I think I'd like to double down on our free speech right now than the current state of affairs for free speech in Great Britain, unfortunately. So it's interesting. He talks about who's talking about what. We're free to say what we want without being arrested in our living rooms currently.
Yeah, there's loads of clips, Greg, online from football fans, England fans, European football fans from, I don't know, Holland, or the Netherlands, Norway, all of them, all the Europeans in America, loving life, loving the food, shocked at your portion sizes, but also just saying...
It's always a hit.
But just saying more seriously, oh, America's great. I didn't realise, you know, because they're fed this message, this propaganda back home, that America's just burning down and it's a hellhole, but actually...
Ben, you're absolutely right. It is propaganda, and it's if you get your headlines from mainstream media in Western Europe, you're going to think that America is divided and all this garbage.
Well, you are divided.
Well, that's fine. But I do think, look, not only have the Scots charmed Boston, but the English down in Dallas. I mean, I think you were there, Ben. Right?
I was there.
What a fantastic place to visit if you're from a different country. Everybody's so nice in Dallas. It's a great place, and everything's big. Everything's big. The portions are big. The trucks are big, the cars are, it's just an awesome place.
The temperature's big, it's hot, absolutely.
It's a dry heat.
Yeah, it was horrible. Jane, Stella and Jane, your take on what Bernard was saying there about American and divisive politics? We don't want that in the UK, Jane?
I think we've already got divisive politics, and having worked in schools, you know, you don't admit to being right-wing in staff rooms in schools for many years. I think it was just claptrap word soup, let's all sing Kumbaya. It was meaningless rubbish. And to Americans, I have always thought of Americans as our close cousins and very good friends, and long may that continue.
Yeah, Stella, what did you make of Andy's comments?
I like Americans, but he's entirely right. At the moment, it's an extremely divided country. You are talking about freedom of speech in the UK. I mean, funny that in the US you have students being stripped of their visas just because they're expressing political opinions. You literally have your own citizens being killed by ICE staff members. It is not a situation. I know so many Americans who have moved to London because of what is going on in the US. I know so many British people who are scared to visit the US because they are scared that agents are going to look through their phones, to look through their Twitter accounts, to see whether they have been critical of Donald Trump, because that's how sensitive he is about his presidency, that there are literally successful people, educated people who are scared to visit the US. Look, I love America. I love Americans. I think you are amazing people. I think you are amazing people, but you're going through a very dark period of time at the moment, and it is really sad to see what Donald Trump has done to the reputation of America globally, and what this means for the cooperation between our two great countries.
TJ?
Well, where to begin? First of all, those people who died were died as the result of sanctuary laws. It was the very sanctuary laws that were being followed that did not allow local police at the street level to keep crowds at bay. Had that not been a left-wing mayor's sanctuary city, the local police would have been keeping protesters away from the actions of ICE, and they'd be alive today.
Also, TJ, I'll say as well, in the case of Alex Pretty, who was shot by the ICE agent, there was an incident a few days before that fatal shooting where he kicked an ICE vehicle. I think he spat at the vehicle as well. If the city, Minnesota, was doing its job, and the law enforcement officers were allowed to arrest Alex Pretty at that point, which they weren't, they were told not to, unlike other states, Alex Pretty wouldn't have been there the days after and been killed. So as you're talking about, Greg, sanctuary cities not working with ICE, the police are directed to obstruct ICE even and not help them out, and that's what happens.
That's why ICE killed someone in cold blood, literally, because there wasn't police around. That is propaganda. Please, your disrespect to the dead is insane. This is disrespectful to people who died. You should be ashamed of yourself for saying that.
You should be ashamed of yourself.
You should be ashamed of yourself. This is
people should be alive. Yes,
they were killed by ICE officers.
And if those leftist laws had not been in place, very good chance
it wasn't leftist laws that armed ICE officers and gave them the power and the audacity to go into American cities and kill American citizens. We have all seen the videos. There was no need to escalate. There was no need for them to take their guns out and to shoot at people. No need whatsoever. I do not care if the day before he had spat at a vehicle. So what? Is this a free country? You're talking about free speech, and you are telling me that the punishment for spitting at a vehicle is being killed the next day?
Nobody's saying, Stella, he deserved it, or that was a right punishment for spitting at an ICE vehicle the day before. But my point is, and I've made this point before, A, the cities aren't working with ICE, so he shouldn't have been there in the first place. B, what is the guy doing there armed with a pistol, obstructing law enforcement? I'm not saying he deserves to die.
The pistol was not visible.
You don't give yourself... Hang on a sec. Wait. You don't give yourself a very good chance. Used to play a lot of poker. You don't give yourself a very good chance of success when you go down, obstruct law enforcement, you're armed, and you've got previous of attacking law enforcement vehicles.
He wasn't obstructing anything.
What are you doing, man?
We've all watched the videos. He wasn't holding the gun. The gun was concealed.
Yeah, no, look at both videos and you can argue either way. But TJ's right. They should not have been there in the first place. And you notice these things aren't happening in Dallas or Miami.
But you were just talking about free speech. What do you mean? What do you mean? Isn't freedom to protest freedom of speech?
No one was criticizing them for exercising their right to free speech. They were criticized for trying to drive a car or a truck into a police officer or carrying a gun.
We've all watched the videos. They were not driving into a police officers.
Yeah.
They were clearly going the other way. We've all watched the video that you're referring to.
Clearly going the other way.
Stella,
clearly.
What about the guy who was the ICE officer who was struck by the vehicle? So I'm not sure which video you're watching or which angle, but clearly she drove, whether she was aiming or not, she drove her car into an ICE officer.
No, I watched the video it was one woman and one guy who were killed. I don't remember their names right now. It was quite some time ago, and I live in the UK. I live in the UK. Excuse me, I live in the UK. I'm a political commentator in the UK. It's not my job to remember every detail about American politics. But the video about the woman who was the first one to be killed, it was clear. You could see the wheels. They were turned the other way from the way the officer was. He shoot her multiple times. It was completely unnecessary, completely unnecessary. And it shows not just the fact that he was allowed to do that, but the kind of attitude, instilled in the kind of people who are recruited by ICE. That's what I got from that. Not just the fact that he was allowed to carry a gun and to use it against people who were protesting, but the kind of attitude.
Okay, it was all going so well, wasn't it? We're having a lovely World Cup talk, and everybody was talking about the spirit of football. Right, there we go. It is a divided nation, America, also the UK as well, because you get two sets of people. I'm not saying you're wrong, Stella, but you get two incidents, and the perceptions of those incidents are vastly different. So it is a divided nation. Let's move on, shall we? The outgoing US Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, has today dropped never-before-seen communications and documents related to the origins of COVID-19, alleging they reveal links between US-funded research, the Wuhan Institute of Virology, and actions by former top US health official Anthony Fauci.
Now, in support of President Trump's maximum transparency mandate, today, on my final day as Director of National Intelligence, I'm releasing never-before-seen communications and documents that expose exactly how Fauci worked with politicized career leadership in the intelligence community to suppress the truth about his actions, the virus's lab leak origins, and his role in directing U.S. funding for this dangerous research that caused immeasurable harm and countless lost lives.
Well. Let's speak to host of the Politics People podcast, Paul Dudderidge. Paul, Anthony Fauci allegedly is a wrong 'un. Who would have guessed?
Yeah, look, everybody's very excited on, my little side of the political spectrum at the moment about this dump of documents, but I'm not seeing anything different to what's been being said for years since Fauci came on the scene. The allegations that have come up in this dump of documents from Tulsi Gabbard today, and again, this is her last day in office, and apparently it's a tradition to dump documents on your last day in office. I didn't realize this till today. There's nothing new. The allegations are finally clarified and they're in black and white. However, it's everything that the so-called conspiracy theorists have been saying all along, that Fauci allegedly lied to Congress, that Fauci allegedly was funding gain of function in the Wuhan labs and was steering the intelligence services to construct a narrative that it was natural, not lab-based. And so there's nothing new in all of these. I'm slightly disappointed myself that Tulsi Gabbard is bringing these documents to light and now leaving the scene.
Well, I mean, she's leaving because, it's a shame she's going, actually. But, I mean, look, sue me, Anthony Fauci. Dr. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. wrote a book about Anthony Fauci called The Real Anthony Fauci, with a litany of horrific allegations against him. Has he been sued? No, because they're probably mostly true. I'm telling you now, Anthony Fauci, come for me. You were a liar during COVID. You said those vaccines stopped transmission. Time after time, they did not. You made Americans, you encouraged Brits to get vaccinated with an experimental gene therapy that you said would protect Granny It didn't, because Pfizer never once tested in their clinical trials for transmission. He admitted that he made up the 6 feet apart advice about social distancing, and also the gain of function research, using American taxpayer dollars for gain of function research, which was banned in the United States. So he did it via the Wuhan Institute of Virology, and that's where allegedly the origins of COVID came from. If you even mentioned that kind of talk 5 or 6 years ago, Paul, you would be cancelled, you would be shunned from society, you'd be banned from social media, and now, as you said, the conspiracy theorists are true. And what's the age-old saying? What's the difference between a conspiracy theory and the truth? Well, normally it's about 6 months. In this case, it's 6 years, Paul.
Look, 100%. My concern is I don't know if there is enough. Look, the conspiracy theories are fantastic and they do a great service. You know, they bring stories to light because, you know, the establishment are not going to release this kind of information otherwise, but they also soften the blow. This is the thing. This is not much of a shock to policy wonks and nerds like ourselves. This is of great interest. I don't know if there is the political appetite to bring Fauci to justice. That's my concern. I would like to have seen Tulsi Gabbard.
I agree with you. Sorry to interject. I agree with you. There is no appetite. I think people just want to move on from COVID because it was a horrendous time. Economies were wrecked. Children's lives were wrecked. People's health profiles were wrecked when they didn't need to get injected with those vaccines when they were told they should do. And there is no appetite. And also, he's been pardoned by Joe Biden, so he cannot be prosecuted for anything. He's been pardoned. So what does that say? So, I mean, all this is really pointless anyway, but it's good to see Tulsi Gabbard giving it a crack. Let's play another clip from Tulsi Gabbard, actually. This is her continuing to comment on the Fauci situation. Take a look.
Now, these documents expose Fauci's direct role in influencing and manipulating IC assessments on COVID-19 and how Fauci lied to Congress in 2024 when under oath he denied knowledge of or participation in discussions with intelligence officials about viral research. We also received testimony from multiple intelligence community whistleblowers who reported retaliation for challenging the intelligence community's manipulation of intelligence on the virus's origins, once again revealing a clear pattern of suppressing dissent, silencing critics, and burying the truth. Dr.
Well, that's what Tulsi said. Paul, let me just play you one more clip. This is Dr. Anthony Fauci himself saying, do you remember this? Saying, I am science during COVID. Take a look.
There's a distinct anti-science flavor to this. So it's easy to criticize, but they're really criticizing science because I represent science. That's dangerous.
I represent science. You are a fraud, Anthony Fauci. Come at me.
It's so infuriating, though, isn't it? But look, Anthony Fauci, and this is his day, this is his story, so we should focus on it. But this, for me, is just the tip of the spear, the tip of the iceberg, if you like. This is how establishments work since time immemorial. It's the greatest way you can get rid of something in the UK, for instance, to have a royal commission. After all the players have left the field, we'll then point to all the guilty parties, but nobody will come to justice. And for me, it's just one more establishment figure who has been talking both sides of his mouth, supported. I mean, Fauci's words shut down the biggest nation on earth. They shut down based on just complete lies, seemingly, if these allegations are correct. But the point is, it's like, okay, so Fauci's gone. There's more of them out there. This is the worry for me. It's just like the establishment, the unaccountable establishment are there. They're perennially in position. And I'm hoping that this infuriates people enough to maybe doubt the next miscreant who enters the scene and tries telling us what to do and pushing us around.
Miscreant. Love that word. Paul, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Paul Dudderidge there on West Coast America. Somebody in your say, James Mitchell. Hello, James. Good morning. You've said, what do you mean, Ben, move on? I want people jailed, you fool. I'm not saying I want to move on. I'm saying generally, Greg, I think society Look, COVID was life-changing for me. I would love nothing more than to see Anthony Fauci up in some courtroom somewhere. He's being pardoned, so he can't be. I don't want to move on. I just think society... I'll be honest, I think society has realised they've been duped with a massive psyop on a huge scale, and they just want to forget about it.
Yeah, and make sure it never happens again. And I think that's why all the more reason to go after the real criminals here, and he's one of them. I mean, the fact that Biden gave him a pass and a pardon, I mean, I'd give Hunter Biden a pass if we could go after Fauci. And let's tie it into the UK. Remember, Matt Hancock did the exact same thing. He knew, he saw the data that lockdowns were useless and that, standing 6 feet apart and all that stuff was nonsense, and he went ahead and did it anyway. And he's off scot-free. I don't think anyone's gone after Matt Hancock.
Yeah. Ben, you nailed it. We were right. We knew. We're smart. I sound like Fredo at the end of The Godfather. We're smart. We're not dumb. We're not dumb. We know. And as much as as the political class wants to tell us and put us in our place, and for those few years, straight up control us. We knew. And as soon as that blanket pardon came out, we knew something was up, and sure enough, here it is.
It's not even, for me though, it's not even me wanting to sit here saying, ha ha ha, I was right, look how clever and shrewd I was. It was, yeah, okay, fine, I could see what was going on, but it's the fact that millions of people were lied to deliberately by the health establishment, and what it's done now, they've blown up all trust in the health establishment. So many people back home in the UK, I've got experience of it, saying I'm not going to get my kids vaccinated now against normal childhood vaccines because of what they did during COVID. We just don't trust anybody.
And children are still feeling the effect years later as they go on in their educational career because their speech was stunted, their social skills.
My son, who was 1 at the time, I think, he was at nursery with everybody wearing those stupid masks which never worked. People wearing them like sheep. Because he's now got speech problems. He had to have speech therapy because of that. Millions of young kids.
It's outrageous, the outcomes. So that's what I mean. If it's one thing, if you're Hunter Biden and you sell influence to the Chinese and the Russians and you get paid for it, that's criminal. But nobody was really affected by that. But this stuff affected people.
Also, the economy. Look at the economies now. Inflation, because
they devastated the economies around the world.
Truly insidious.
What annoys me more about this follow the science, it's so snobby. Like that just was snobby.
They're criticizing science. That's a good impression.
And all these, just like the people moving to the UK from America because it's so dangerous here. It's just propaganda. It's snobbery. It's not surely not working people that are doing that, and it really had an effect on people. By the way, you could please follow the science, but not if it's the Great Barrington Declaration.
Right.
3 renowned scientists, and that was taken off of Twitter.
And also, Carmen, one of the authors of the Great Barrington Declaration, Dr. Jay Bhattacharya, now running the National Institute of Health, which was Fauci's role. Was that right? Yeah.
Close.
Right. Karma does exist. And also, the US, for example, they printed 1/3 of their entire USD money supply in just 12 months. And the Federal Reserve saying inflation is just transitionary. And then, by the way, inflation's here to stay. Who would have thought you print money out of thin air, give it away like candy, and then you get inflation? And we're still feeling the effects now. That's why our economies are wrecked. That's why you're skint. That's why everybody is struggling. It is a mess. And that's at the door of people like Anthony Fauci, Boris Johnson, the lot of them. I'll never get over it. Right. Still ahead on The Late Show Live tonight.
I would love reconciliation with my family.
Perhaps the clearest sign yet that reconciliation for the Royals is on the cards. Would you back that? But next.
You only wanted unconditional surrender. And, well, the MOU doesn't look like unconditional surrender.
Well, it really probably is unconditional surrender.
It is?
It's already beginning to show in the US-Iran ceasefire deal as Israel and Lebanon continue to exchange fire. The Middle East tonight showing no signs of cooling down. Quick look at your weather, then I'll be back with you in just a sec.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello, good morning and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. The Met Office have issued an extreme heat warning for Monday and Tuesday. But before the heat intensifies through the weekend and early next week, actually today it's cloudier and it's fresher compared to the last couple of days across southern parts of the UK, where we do have a cold front moving through, and that will continue to bring a few spots of rain here and there. especially during the morning, but there'll still be some rain around into the afternoon. Showers for northern Scotland, in between some brighter skies, but more bearable temperatures. And actually, for many parts of the UK, it's a fine day, if rather cloudy. And at least we're not seeing the exceptionally high temperatures just yet. So more comfortable temperatures for Scotland, where it's a brighter day compared with the last few days. Still some showers for northern Scotland, temperatures reaching the mid to high teens. We're talking about 18 for Edinburgh, 20 somewhere across central and southern Scotland. Similar values for Northern Ireland, where it's mostly dry and bright heading into the evening. Best of the sunshine, northern and western England, parts of Wales, the cloud breaking up during the afternoon and more so in the evening. The last spots of rain clear from East Anglia overnight, and then more widespread clear spells heading into the early hours of Sunday. I think we'll still have a few showers through the night time for northern Scotland. Otherwise, for many places, it's dry, still quite muggy. Look at that 21 Celsius dawn on Tuesday in London, mid to high teens in the south, but much fresher for northern parts of the UK, and widespread sunny skies on Sunday. Another decent summer's day, and I think welcome news for Scotland, for Northern Ireland, Northern England. We've seen so much rain recently. There'll be lots of warm sunshine to come. But further south, it's turning hotter, 30, 31 Celsius on Sunday, up to the mid-30s Monday and Tuesday.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Cool, the weather looks all right, doesn't it, back in Blighty? Get your sun cream out and keep hydrated, won't you? A few quick comments from your say, again on my phone, so I apologise. Call me old-fashioned. Good morning. You said, what has Fauci been pardoned for? What did he do wrong? Yeah, surprise. David has said, David Dorian, first we had Bev Turner on her rampage about social media, and now Ben Leo on his personal campaign about COVID. Give me strength. Sorry, David. Sorry for standing for something. It's going to be a boring old life if you don't stand up for something that you believe in and want justice for. And Jackie has said, society doesn't want to move on from justice, Ben. We are all outraged, no matter what you think. Well, good to hear, Jackie. I did have the feeling that people wanted to move on from it. But yeah, if I'm wrong, I'm glad to be wrong. And Lynn, good morning, Lynn. You said, well done, Ben. And they're always preparing us for the next one. Mind control, more like. Sadly, many of us will fall for it all over again. Right, let's crack on with the situation in the Middle East. President Trump's peace deal with Iran faced a shaky start today after fighting between Israel and Hezbollah in Lebanon. Pictures on your screens now. President Trump reportedly told Israel to calm down and use your head after they launched fresh strikes on Beirut this morning in response to Hezbollah's killing of 4 IDF soldiers in southern Lebanon. And now they have agreed to a ceasefire. How long will it last? I don't know. But peace talks that were scheduled to take place in Switzerland today were postponed amid the fighting, with no new date announced. Here was the president speaking just a short time ago.
Our country's doing so well. Those ships are flowing out of the Hormuz Strait like nobody's ever seen before, actually. There were a lot of them, about 700 of them, and they're pouring out. The oil is all over the place. You're going to see oil drop so low. I hope the companies are happy about it. And now we have an agreement that was signed last night, and it's 60 days. They have to make a deal. Otherwise, we will do things that won't make them happy, but I don't think it's going to get to that. I think it's going to be very good. Remember, if we do that, then all of a sudden you're not going to have the oil flowing out of the strait too quickly, because people that own billion-dollar ships don't love missiles flying over them, don't love mines all over the water.
With me now is Iranian journalist Mani Bashazad. Mani, good to see you. President Trump telling Israel, Netanyahu, to calm down and use your head. What's your take, first of all, with the situation between the IDF and Hezbollah in Lebanon?
Well, let's go back to February 28th, when the war started. When the war started between Iran and Islamic Republic of Iran and United States, there was a video from a school in Iran which someone was saying, thanks to Uncle Donald. When he went to US embassies all around Europe, Iranians were thanking Donald Trump. They weren't happy because their country was getting bombed. They were happy because someone, finally a US president, understood the language of Islamic Republic. The language of Islamic Republic is a language of force, is a language of terror, both domestically and internationally, because their whole ideology is to be the opposition to the global order. And that's the idea that they have, the apocalyptic ideology which wants to destroy the West, which wants to destroy the world. And then they find places like Yemen a utopia for themselves, because that's the idea of resistance. They find Gaza a success story. That's what Jalili said, who wanted to be the president a couple of years ago. So my argument is, when we look at the 14-point deal, and the first 5 are closely related to Lebanon, my main question is, why Islamic Republic of Iran should have anything to say about Lebanon? They should have no business in Lebanon. They have a terrorist group called Hezbollah, and they have been financing it before. Now with a $300 billion fund, which is 3 times more than the Obama deal, they're going to finance Hezbollah more. I said a couple of days ago, this deal is carrots without the sticks. Because you're basically incentivizing terror. You're saying, you know what, basically you closed the Strait of Hormuz. You made the whole region unsafe. You attacked hotels in Dubai. You attacked airports in Kuwait. You attacked all civilian places in all around the region. You attacked US allies. And then you know what, you're going to get rewarded with a deal better than Obama. And so many say other options, like boots on the ground, getting the Hark Island, opening the Strait of Hormuz, had a higher cost than this. I do not think so, because of 2 reasons. First of all, you have Teach Islamic Republic that whenever they want something from the West, whether sanctions relief, whether more money, whether more acceptance to the global economy, they should close the Strait of Hormuz, because that was the lesson. Now the IRGC has the upper hand in Iranian politics, because they say, when the moderates were negotiating, we achieved nothing. Donald Trump destroyed the deal on his first day of presidency. Now that the hardliners took the power, they closed the Strait of Hormuz, they attacked Israel, they attacked all the US allies in the region, they attacked Diego Garcia, UK base. Now we got rewarded with a deal. So I think opening the Strait of Hormuz, which is not an impossible thing for the United States to do. If you read H.R. McMaster's memoirs, which he was the Donald Trump's national security advisor in his first 2 years, his first step, he wrote that the U.S. military has a lot of trainings in opening the straits. If United States pay the price of opening the strait, I think that would be a better thing, not only for the region, but for United States itself. That's the price of being a superpower. When they attack your allies and you do not defend them, that's not a good thing, that's not a good signal, and a good message to send to China, Russia, and other axes of evil.
All right, Manny, very quickly, if you can, just 30 seconds. What do you want to see in an ideal world, in the dream scenario, happen to your country? Do you want a new temporary leader like Reza Pahlavi, or what do you want to see?
What Iranians have said in the streets is Javid Shah, God save the king. They want to transition to monarchy, a referendum which they can choose their own destiny for the first time in the half a century, that they can finally choose for themselves. So that's the dream that I have for my country, and that dream is going to be possible with the help of the free world. But in one sentence, Iranians are not going to stop fighting. They have more than 40,000 of them have been killed, and this war between Iranians and the Islamic Republic is not going to stop.
Okay, Manny, thank you so much. That's Manny Bashazad, Iranian journalist. Let's get the thoughts of my panel, particularly those, the guys in London, Jane and Stella. Jane, what's your take on President Trump's Iran deal? Do you think this is what the Iranians wanted? Is it a win for America, Jane, or is it maybe a win for Iran?
I'm afraid I just think it's really messy, and my mind keeps going back to January when the protests were starting, and President Trump said, help is on the way, keep going. And that was before 30, 40,000 people were murdered by the Iranian regime. So I'm afraid what has struck me is the lack of intelligence that was available. So at the beginning of the conflict, President Trump seemed fairly sure we've wiped out all of the weapons launch sites. Missiles kept coming. They'd spread their capability around different sites in Iran. I don't think US intelligence was as accurate as we would have liked it to have been. I think we go back to another point, which is Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. That is an absolute. So there was not an easy way to make that happen. I don't know how you safeguard. I don't know how you check. So I just think this is one big mess, and I don't think we're anywhere better than we were before. I think the Iranian people, it's interesting hearing Manny, but obviously he is on one side of this. I would like to know how many Iranians do support the regime who are in Iran, and how many. We're never going to know that because we can't have a fair vote on it, or we'll never know what's going on. But I'm afraid I don't think it's been a great campaign, and we are in a mess. So
Yeah.
Sorry not to sound optimistic.
I agree, we're in a mess. Stella, you probably agree that America's in a mess as well, but can I ask you, at the start of this conflict, did you support it? What were your thoughts initially when it was launched?
No, I have never seen the US be able to bomb a country into becoming a democracy, sadly. I wish that could happen. I wish it was as simple as the US invades or the US bombs or its allies do that and then a country becomes a democracy, but that's not how it works. And I just think that there have been so many innocent lives lost in this war. Everyone is going to pay the price, and that includes Europe, that includes countries that have done nothing because of the energy prices that are going to go up astronomically. There will be a lot of refugees who will have nowhere to go. There is going to be more instability. There is going to be more frustration. And I'm just sitting here wondering, has Trump realized yet that he just cannot control the situation? Because the way he was speaking back in January was as if things that he says can just materialize, they can just happen. And what we're seeing now is that he really doesn't have as much control as he thinks he does. He wants this peace deal. He keeps on telling Israel what we have wanted him to tell Israel all along. Listen, you are a small country. You are not going to be able to just continuously kill your way into your enemies doing what you want them to do. No matter how evil your enemies are, it's not going to work out for you. And we see that Donald Trump doesn't have the power to stop them.
10 seconds, Greg, and then TJ.
Yeah, look, the most important thing is preventing the nuclear weapons getting in the hands of the regime. That's number one. Regime change would have been nice, but we're not very good at that, and that would be impossible in Iran without the people. And so, next step is arm the people who are against the regime.
Arm the Kurds, TJ.
Arm whoever. My heart breaks for the women and children, the LGBT community, and everyone else who's oppressed by that regime.
Okay, thank you very much. Right, more coming up in the next hour on The Late Show Live, including this.
I will stand, and I've said repeatedly, I'm not going to walk away from that.
Today, clouds overhead, total zen within. Boxed Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello, good morning and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. The Met Office have issued an extreme heat warning for Monday and Tuesday. But before the heat intensifies through the weekend and early next week, actually, today it's cloudier and it's fresher compared with the last couple of days across southern parts of the UK, where we do have a cold front moving through, and that will continue to bring a few spots of rain here and there, especially during the morning, but there'll still be some rain around into the afternoon. Showers for northern Scotland, in between some brighter skies, but more bearable temperatures. And actually, for many parts of the UK, it's a fine day, if rather cloudy. And at least we're not seeing the exceptionally high temperatures just yet. So more comfortable temperatures for Scotland, where it's a brighter day compared with the last few days. Still some showers for northern Scotland, temperatures reaching the mid to high teens. We're talking about 18 for Edinburgh, 20 somewhere across central and southern Scotland. Similar values for Northern Ireland, where it's mostly dry and bright heading into the evening. Best of the sunshine, northern and western England, parts of Wales, the cloud breaking up during the afternoon and more so in the evening. The last spots of rain clear from East Anglia overnight, and then more widespread clear spells heading into the early hours of Sunday. I think we'll still have a few showers through the night time for northern Scotland. Otherwise, for many places, it's dry, still quite muggy. Look at that 21 Celsius dawn on Tuesday in London, mid to high teens in the south, but much fresher for northern parts of the UK, and widespread sunny skies on Sunday. Another decent summer's day, and I think welcome news for Scotland, for Northern Ireland, Northern England. We've seen so much rain recently. There'll be lots of warm sunshine to come. But further south, it's turning hotter, 30, 31 Celsius on Sunday, up to the mid-30s Monday and Tuesday.
Today, clouds overhead, total zen within. Boxed Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation,
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
and each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Bold. They are under no illusion. Ray, are you a human trafficker? Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get us on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines. The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it? From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos. I'm going to do now, they are throwing things up the cars. Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie's tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From court mornings
to warm family brunches.
From football to tennis in the car.
In the kitchen.
GB News Breakfast is there. With the stories you need and the conversations that matter.
Anyway, let's talk business.
Well, it has been a historic night in British politics.
It's astonishing, isn't it? We're here again to start your day just right. GB News Breakfast.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk
No,
now?
that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Some people enjoy lazy Sunday mornings, but not me.
What's the truth of the matter?
So that's a very live question.
Would you support him if he waters down these plans?
Before the spin sets in, I'll be getting to the truth.
This is personal.
No soft questions, no easy answers.
It's one thing if the state has rules in this country. It's another thing whether the police and others actually police them.
Setting the agenda and holding those in power to account.
You can't really blame her if the system is set up this way.
You will not want to miss it, trust me. The Camilla Tominey Show, Sundays from 9:30, only on GB News.
Good morning, hope you're well. This is GB News with the story shaping Britain and America.
The country feel like it's working again.
Andy Burnham promises change as the knives start to come out. The vultures are circling for Sir Keir Starmer, but
I will stand, and I've said repeatedly, I'm not going to walk away from that.
the Prime Minister says, I ain't going anywhere, as the pressure mounts from Labour backbenchers and even his own cabinet. Plus, a major rail crash in Bedford has left dozens injured and caused travel chaos. GB News' Jack Carson was at the scene and has the latest.
There's been a mass emergency response here to the collision of two trains which passengers on board described as a sudden crash. The British Transport Police have confirmed one person has died.
You only wanted unconditional surrender. And, well, the MOU doesn't look like unconditional surrender.
Well, it really probably is unconditional surrender.
It is?
Well, what's the latest with the Iran-US peace deal, or the so-called peace deal? Is it a win for America, or is it a win for Iran? What do the Iranian people who protested en masse in January and February, what do they think about it? Well, the cracks are already beginning to show elsewhere, because Israel and Lebanon have been exchanging fire today. The Middle East, it has to be said, shows no sign of cooling down. Plus,
Donald J. Trump. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free.
Well, if I was American, I would be proud. I was there today as the president unveiled the brand new Air Force One, and you won't believe just how incredible it is on the inside. I'm Sorry to Granny Irene in Dundee, in Brossie Ferry. Heartbreak for the Tartan Army. They've lost 1-0 to Morocco. We'll get live reaction from some lively Scots in Glasgow very soon. I hope they behave themselves on live TV. I'm Ben Leo and this is The Late Show Live. Welcome to The Late Show Live. Joining me in DC this evening is my panel, Greg Swenson and TJ McCormack, who are celebrating USA's 2-0 victory over the Aussies down under. Once again, sorry to my dear producer, Cooper, who's Australian and licking his wounds tonight. And in London, Jane Stevenson and Stella Chantakidou. Thank you, ladies, for your company. We'll catch up in just a tick. Right, let's touch on the breaking news from Boston in the last hour or so. Scotland's hopes of reaching the knockout stages of the World Cup have suffered a major blow after defeat to Morocco this evening. Steve Clarke's side are now left facing a huge final group game against against Brazil in Miami. There we go, got there in the end. With their World Cup dream hanging in the balance. Let's cross live now to our GBNews Scotland reporter, Tony Maguire, who's live in Glasgow. Tony, commiserations, my friend, for your national team. What was the reaction tonight? What's your assessment of what we saw?
Evening, Ben, but come on, have you learned nothing from your time you spent in Boston? We're just happy to be here, you know, and I think that is the vibes. And I mean, if you're going to take the wind out the balloon, you might as well do it after 75 seconds. That's when Morocco put the ball in the back of the net. And I mean, I think actually Scotland were just kind of dumbstruck for the first 40 minutes, but just towards the end of the first half, they started to pull it back, and all through the second half, they truly, I think, dominated, quite frankly. Couple of shots near the target. But anyway, I caught up with some fans just to find out how they were feeling and whether they thought this was the end or just the beginning of the World Cup comeback.
I think it's been absolutely great in the factor that everybody has went to Boston and they've been supporting their own country, which is my country, been doing absolutely phenomenal.
I was expecting at least a goal, to be honest, but I think we've done all right. I think we'll get through.
So, is that the end of Scotland's World Cup dream? No, of course it's not. We've still got Brazil, you know, and if Scotland can pull out a victory against any team, well, it's going to be the world number 4. I'm, of course, saying that with a wee bit of tongue-in-cheek. Scotland is FIFA World ranked number 35. But, you know, there was a Brazilian psychic who has predicted that on Wednesday's match against Brazil, that a spaceship is going to come down and abduct 700 people. I kid you not. Now, as long as 11 of those people play football for Brazil, I think I can get on board with that. But I mean, the vibes, you're seeing these pictures from Boston, really quite incredible. I think America, to anybody watching in America, thank you for taking our countrymen on with such grace and making them such parts of the family. Scots will be heading down the coast towards Miami now to take over yet another American city on the US seaboard. But you know, this might come down to a loss, okay, there's no denying that, but you know, no Scotland, no party. The vibes still very much flying high here in Glasgow and in Scotland, and I think, you know, if there was a team that I'd never won a bet against, it would be Steve Clarke's Scotland side.
Yeah, good man, Tony. I will say as well, Brazil, they don't look that good. They looked a bit kind of laboured against Morocco, so I'm backing the Scots to get a point there. I'm with you. Let me ask you though, Tony, before I let you go, this is, again, an interesting conversation. As an Englishman with Scottish in-laws, well, I would anyway, regardless of the in-laws, Granny Irene in Dundee, I'd want Scotland to do well, unless it was against England directly. However, I get the feeling, Tony, and maybe you can clarify, that the Scots just hate the English. You want us to lose. What's the truth, Tony?
I don't think so. I think if I saw this conversation pop up earlier today, there's a difference between like a hatred and a rivalry. There is a rivalry there. There's a video going around of Scots kind of teasing and singing around the one Englishman in a bar, you know, and I think, look, there's bad apples in every barrel, but, you know, there's plenty of room in this tournament for both sides until there's not.
Yeah, indeed. Well said, Tony. And you never know. Can we reach... Is it possible for England to meet Scotland in the final? We're in different brackets, aren't we?
Oh, well, maybe Scotland will beat England in the final. You know, you think you just got to get your word choice there, I think.
Is that what did I say? Yeah. Oh, sorry. Okay, Tony, thank you, mate. Go and get yourself another beer. Appreciate it. Great stuff. Thanks. Oh, dear. Getting on, aren't we? Getting on. Greg, let's speak to the panel back in Londone. I forget which city I'm in. I've been in so many cities the last couple of days. I've been in London, then I was in Boston, then Dallas, now in DC. Jane, your take. Let's talk about commiserations to Scotland. They've got Brazil and Miami. I think they'll nick a point. I'm backing Super John McGinn to bag one again. But Jane, England play Panama. Sorry, they play Ghana on Tuesday in Boston. Are you looking forward to that?
I am really looking forward to it, but I'm now you've said it's in Miami that Scotland are heading to. As a ginger, I just want to say to the Scots, you know, the Celtic genes are there. Get your sun cream on because it's going to be quite aggressive sun down in Miami. But I'm sure that they'll charm the residents down there and have a great party down there. So, but England. I just daren't hope for a win, but I think we're impressive, so I'm hopeful.
We'll smash them, Jane. We'll smash them. Stella, we're going to smash Ghana.
Absolutely. I will be hoping for that. Please do not expose me for my lack of football knowledge. Jane is the panel expert on that. I support both England and Scotland just on patriotic grounds. But I cannot tell you, I could not possibly tell you that I have the skill or the knowledge to assess how well our two teams are going. I assume they're amazingly because they are British.
Yeah, well said. Right answer, diplomatic. Greg, England, I have to say, I'm not just saying it because I'm English, we look good. It's coming home, 60 years of heartbreak, going to come to an end.
I'm feeling it. You know, I was in London for two of the Euros as well, and they got to the finals, I think, of both the last two Euros. But no, they're always a threat to win. I'm more impressed with the English down in Dallas, 45,000 pints at one bar, or as we say, pubs in England. So
and they got kicked out because it was the Londoner bar, which is a pretty famous pub in Dallas. It's an English pub. So on the day of the game, during the game, TJ, the fire service had to turn up and shut the place down. They shut the venue down because there was far too many fans there. They were above capacity, and the staff in the bar pulled the plugs on the TVs to a chorus of boos to get everybody out.
Get everybody out. Yeah, that's the fireman's specialty, isn't it? the whole permit thing. Look, this is just so exciting, and yes, our two nations teams do look really good. I'm a little disappointed that Trent Alexander was left off.
Oh, look at you with your knowledge.
Yeah, again, married to a Scouser. I got to make sure, I showed love. And listen, it's another reason why I'm pulling for Scotland. The very hard-nosed Robbo, Andy Robertson, another now former Liverpool player. But anyway, no, it's really exciting stuff, and they're all firing on. The United States men's team is playing better than arguably any previous men's team. Those those four halves they've played so far are arguably the best four halves in the history of men's soccer here in the States. And England, go, bring it home. I would love to see it come home.
Yeah, the USA looks solid, actually. Pochettino, the manager, isn't it?
Yes,
Spurs
Pochettino.
manager.
Yeah, we finally have a great international manager.
Yeah, Trump making a phone call to Pochettino before the tournament saying, I heard you're a great coach. So my voice is going, I heard you're a great coach, and so on and so on. It must have, what's the word, encouraged him and vitalised him to USA success. Seems to be working so far. Right, looking forward to England's game against Ghana on Tuesday in Boston. I'll be there for GB News viewers and all the Three Lions fans, so that should be fun. Let's move back on to domestic matters in the UK, though, because Andy Burnham, of course, stormed a victory in the Makerfield by-election. He now, obviously, has his sights set on number 10. In his victory speech, though, Burnham declared the result a turning point and vowed to set out a new path for Britain, calling for major economic and political change.
The word Makerfield in the future must be known as a byword for the change that came to British politics. This is the moment. We've been on a path for 40 years that simply hasn't worked for people and places in this part of the world. And this now is the change moment. We have an opportunity to turn the tide, to make the country feel like it's working again, to make people see that politics can make a positive difference, to make people feel hope again.
Well, Sir Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister, insists he won't step aside and says he's prepared to fight any leadership contest that comes his way.
Well, there isn't a leadership contest at the moment. There isn't one at the moment. But as I've said on many, many occasions, I don't think that's a good thing for the country, to plunge us into chaos. I would also add that now that Andy has won, which is really important, really good, he's a huge asset to us, then now will inevitably be a Manchester mayoralty by-election starting straight away. So it's important that we pull together for that. But if there is a contest, just to be clear with you, then yes, I will run, I will stand, and I've said repeatedly, I'm not going to walk away from that.
Well, stop the press, hold the front pages. In the last few hours, reports claim that both Ed Miliband and Shabana Mahmood have told Keir Starmer to set out a timeline for his departure. Is that going to be enough to turn the screw on the Prime Minister? Will he be feeling the heat enough to do exactly that and tell the nation, or tell his party at least, when he's going? How long has the PM got? With Andy Burnham's path to number 10 even clearer, with Burnham, the former Mayor of Manchester, breathing down his neck? Let's get the thoughts of former leader of UKIP, Henry Bolton. Henry, good morning, my friend. Good to see you. What's your take on what's going to happen politically in the coming days, weeks and months in the UK, in England? Are we going to get a general election anytime soon?
No, I don't think we are. No. I think if there was a general election, we all know, don't we, that the Labour Party would stand a very good chance of losing that general election, and certainly have its majority, 160-odd seat majority in the House of Commons, absolutely decimated. And I don't see any logical reason or benefit for any leader of the Labour Party to invite that to happen to their party and to their
well, can I interject there, Henry?
Sorry?
Can I interject there? The reason for Burnham to call a general election would be he just stormed to more than 50% of the vote in Makerfield. Yes, it's a Labour stronghold. However, the right of British politics, Restore, Reform, the Tories, if you want to call them right-wing, I guess they are under Kemi Badenoch, they are completely fractured. And even if they were all united, they still wouldn't have beaten Burnham and Labour in Makerfield. So I would argue, if I was a Labour political guru, thank God I'm not, I'd say, right, let's do this. New leader, new change of direction. He can say, I had nothing to do with this calamitous Keir Starmer government. He's gone, I'm in. Let's call a general election.
Yeah, you've got to remember that Burnham really bucked the trend in the 2024 mayoral election in Manchester. Yes, Labour won the last general election, but really because the right was fractured, as you say. That was the Reform Conservative vote. But Burnham did tremendously well. He absolutely swept the board in Manchester, and this by-election was in that area, so within the Manchester mayoral area. So I think I'm certainly not surprised at the result of this by-election. But Labour, generally across the board, is in a very different situation. Labour MPs in different parts of the country are hanging on by their toenails. And there is absolutely no guarantee that they would be able to hold their seats whatsoever. There's no guarantee, for example, that the right would be that split. Because, you know, we're being entirely objective about it. Right now, there are only two parties on the right that could stand candidates, and they're both very much in contest with each other, but that's the Conservative Party and Reform right now as of today. So I think it's highly unlikely, and I don't see the benefit. It's not just whether or not he could win that election, it's whether or not he would come out of that election with the support or with the majority in the House of Commons that Labour presently has. And I don't think there's any way on earth that would happen. And we should bear in mind also, just finally, that whole narrative about an early general election was initiated by Nigel Farage, who said he built the momentum of reform after the last general election. And he very much had to keep his party on fighting trim. He had to keep that momentum going in some way. And it's a very Nigel approach to say, well, we can expect an early general election, and that narrative was built over as a result of Burnham's success in this by-election in Makerfield. So that was simply his own political. What he perceived as his political sort of need and agenda to push that narrative. There was never ever a reason for it to actually happen. I doubt it very much.
OK, you mentioned there that there's only two parties on the right who would be ready for a general election, Reform and the Tories. What did you make of Restore's showing in Makerfield?
I think they did very well. 4 months old? I only say that they're ready. That they're not ready for a general election right now, because most of their 600-odd branches that they've already formed are not. You know, they're very embryonic. I mean, they might have. Most of them have got members of around about 170 to 250. So they're quite sizable for those constituencies, but they're not yet really up and running. So that's the thing. I think they've done a tremendous job to get the 7% of the vote that they did in Makerfield for a party that's that young. I think there were mistakes. I think Reform made mistakes as well. The campaign from both parties was really based on the Reform vote was based on we're the only people who can win, based on what? Just simply their polling figures. And they weren't projecting a positive message. It was attacking Burnham. It was attacking Restore. Whereas Burnham, for example, was talking about, he was working on his record as mayor of Manchester, which was essentially projecting a positive message. Restore was, I don't think the message in terms of what they would do was quite sophisticated enough. Restore
didn't have any message about what they do. All Restore did, and people watching this now, clip it up, I don't care, on social media, all Restore did was go after Reform. So, I mean, what was the point of Restore standing there? And by the way, Restore got 3,000 votes, less than the BNP did about 10 years ago. And that's bearing in mind they had their biggest ever, apparently, campaigning day with, I think they had far more campaigners than they got votes. So just in terms of that question, what was Restore's message apart from going after Reform?
No, there was a message. There was a message on a variety of things, antisocial behaviour. There was a whole range of things. There weren't necessarily even the right messages, but there were messages, and I think you can choose to present it as 3,000 votes, but name me a political party, including Reform, who in their first by-election got anything like 7% of the vote in a by-election. I think Reform's first by-election, they got 1.6% of the vote. So and actually, the entire campaign, just about, from Reform was anti-Restore. That was the basis of it. We are the only people who can win, and Restore should stand down. So it was entirely negative campaigning. So I think each of the three parties, Labour stood out, I think, as running the better campaign. I think the Farage campaign was entirely negative. It was attacking, not projecting a positive message, and the Restore campaign wasn't sophisticated enough. But that's because it's early days. So I think you can, three different parties, three different approaches, and Burnham was, I think, always going to sweep this, particularly on the backdrop of his Manchester mayoral record, which, generally speaking, up there, I was up in Makerfield, was considered as to be very positive. Plus, a lot of people were saying, I would have voted Restore, I would have voted Reform, but what better to have a future Prime Minister as your Member of Parliament? The idea being that then you'd get more resources and attention onto the
Just finally, Henry, and briefly, if you don't mind, the Tories did really well in Aberdeen South, a referendum, I guess, on net zero. Just a word on Kemi. Is she turning a corner with the party?
I think, I think she's doing remarkably well. Very well. Behind the Conservative Party, there are a lot of grandees and donors and even a large section of the Conservative Party membership is actually of the sort of One Nation caucus, maybe less so now than it was before, the very sort of liberal side of the Conservative Party, which is a drag anchor on the Conservative Party and its ability to project centre-right politics. So I think that's a battle that's incredibly difficult for Kemi to overcome. What will happen by the time we get to a general election? As I say, I don't think there'll be an early one, so we're talking, say, November 28 to May 29. I think, you know, anything can happen between now and then. Kemi is very good, but I don't think it's enough.
Yeah, OK, great stuff. Henry, good to see you. A great conversation. We'll catch up soon. Henry Bolton, former leader of UKIP. Let's get the thoughts of my panel, including the guys in London. Jane Stevenson, I want to talk to you about your former party, the Conservative Party. Absolutely nowhere in Makerfield, but on the referendum in South Aberdeenshire on net zero, they stormed it. Jane. Yeah,
a really clever campaign on net zero, making it about oil and gas. Local people, if you look at the housing market, even in Aberdeen, people are tipping into negative equity because all those well-paid jobs have gone. And Ed Miliband accelerating net zero. I was always trying to be balanced about it and say that my constituents in the last Parliament, they didn't support all these net zero drives. They just saw it as something really expensive. It was a middle-class hand-wringing exercise in looking nice. And it, you know, we decarbonised so much. We were less than 1% of global emissions, and Ed Miliband still thinks we need to accelerate and do a lot more. But Kemi did a really good campaign in Aberdeen South. It was very canny to go on one issue. And in Makerfield, people went on that single issue of getting rid of Keir Starmer. And you look at Lib Dem, Green and Conservative votes at the last election, they were in the thousands and they were all in the hundreds because people saw that either as a stop reform or as a get rid of Keir Starmer. So I think we saw two such unique and unusual by-elections there, but fascinating.
Yeah, it was interesting, wasn't it? I'm glad, by the way, just as a side note, Stella, I'm glad the Green candidate in Makerfield got smashed. 300 votes, I think she got, after her performance, her condescending, snotty performance to the Reform candidate, Rob Kenyon, on Question Time. What's your take of how the Greens did, Stella? And also your thoughts on what Henry was saying about reform and restore and sort of the fracture on the right. I bet you're cheering that on.
Yeah, I don't think that there is. I think the problem with the fraction on the right is not in the numbers as much, because as you saw, even if you cluster all of the Conservative, Restore and Reform votes together, Andy still has a massive majority. So Andy got 25,000 votes, Reform got 15,000 votes, Restore got 3,000 votes, and then the Conservatives got less than 1,000 votes. So even if you did put all of these together, it would still not be enough. I think the problem with Restore and what they're doing is that Henry, of course, was saying, his point was that Reform's campaign was negative, but Restore's campaign was not sophisticated enough. Well, certainly it wasn't sophisticated enough, but it was also extremely negative. There was, at some point, a van that was going around Aston in Makerfield, which was saying reform for Muslims, and it was broadly agreed that this was something organized by Restore, basically to convince local people that, you know, to make potential Reform voters feel like, oh, you know, Reform. Well. Yeah, exactly. It was defamation, basically. It is quite bad. So I think the problem with Restore for Nigel Farage and Reform is that it doesn't allow them to speak to a broader base. It forces them to be even more fringe, to be even more aggressive, to be to have the kind of rhetoric that probably would drive away some people, and to just focus, rather than try to focus on attracting new voters, they have to focus on not losing any to Restore. But you asked me about the Greens as well. And I think that
Greens, go on.
Broadly they didn't campaign as much as they would have, and certainly from the Labour voters there would have been a lot of Green Green voters who voted for Andy Burnham because they liked him and they believe that he will be good for the country. But at the same time, they still did stand a candidate. There wasn't any explicit agreement, formal or informal, between the Labour Party and the Greens. There is still quite a bit of animosity, and there will be quite a bit of hope from some Green campaigners that perhaps Andy is going to be in favour of proportional representation. I'm not quite sure whether that's going to materialise, certainly not in this parliament. I think that Andy's stance has softened on proportional representation, on electoral reform, than the way it used to be 10 or 15 years ago. If you listen to him speaking on previous Labour Party leadership elections, where he stood before, he was very much against proportional representation, but his stance has softened since.
Yeah, I think the issue is, when it comes to a general election, TJ, is that the left will unite to do anything they can to stop Nigel Farage, which means they'll stand down in certain seats. The Greens will be allowed to run, Labour will be allowed to run without competition. And I just don't think the right of politics, you sit here in the USA with the MAGA base, MAGA being split. I don't think it is as split as people say, but there is a split. The likes of Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, I mean, even further right to that, the likes of Nick Fuentes and so on. I don't think the right can organise as well as the left when it comes to it. I don't know why. Egos? I don't know.
Yeah, no, also a willingness. You know, the sheep going to do what the sheep are told to do. And there's a certain amount of intellectual honesty, I like to think, that I'm proud of on the right here in the States, and generally speaking. You see it right now. You see fractions falling off when it comes to the Iran deal. You see fractions falling off when it comes to a number of things. There's going to be a lot of Republicans who aren't exactly thrilled about this new Air Force One. You know, even though we got it free. So, you know, you do hear a lot of pushback. You see the back and forth and the give and take in Congress, and bills being debated, and speakers being unseated. So anyway, yes, it is fascinating to see how the left does coalesce as ordered. And it's going to be interesting to see. A quick note on the positivity. I do think that Nigel Farage and Reform can be the party of opposition and be positive in delivering their message. It is something to be said about being constantly negative. Be proud of what you stand for.
Yeah, Farage, though, Greg, he was disappointed with Makerfield. He said so in a video. It wasn't, you know, it wasn't a great showing.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the way he's got to look at it is it is a Labour stronghold. And remember, it was only 1 month ago we were having many conversations about the great May elections, the off-year elections, so, you know, or the local elections. So I don't think I want to read too much into these two very different elections. Aberdeen South was a one-issue deal, you know, and a very popular candidate in Douglas Lumsden. So I wouldn't look. I'm trying not to look into these two unique elections too much.
Okay, just on the van that Stella mentioned, it was Muslims for Reform, and a couple of Restore supporters were pictured outside the van. Restore said that they never. It wasn't them, basically. Rupert Lowe condemned it on social media, said nothing to do with us. I don't know what's going on legally with it, because as far as I can see, it breaks electoral law, but Restore saying that wasn't them. So just to clarify that. Right, breaking news from earlier this evening, sad news actually. One person has died and 33 have suffered very serious or serious injuries after 2 trains collided in the Bedford area. A major incident has been declared, with police, firefighters, ambulance crews and air ambulances all at the scene. Local hospitals have urged the public not to attend A&E unless they have a genuine emergency. GB News national reporter Jack Carson filed this report a bit earlier from the scene.
Well, the emergency response just south of Bedford to this train collision is continuing overnight. The British Transport Police have confirmed that 1 person has sadly died and many more are injured. A major incident here has been declared. We've been here now for some time and seen the continuing emergency response, even hours after this incident occurred in the early evening of today, just south of the Bedford train station. We've still seen numerous ambulances enter the scene here. This is as close as we can get. This is the road closure point. It leads down that road to a bridge overlooking the railway. From aerial pictures we've seen, the police were able to get passengers to disembark off the train using ladders, other kinds of steps and equipment to be able to get those hundreds of passengers off what would have been an extremely busy service. But of course, from witness statements that we've had from passengers aboard that train, they described it as a sudden crash, saying that the train just stopped instantly. They said the front of the train was okay, but the third carriage was off the rails. They described their own injuries as having blood on their legs, but also an impact to their back. As we report now, as you can hear around us, more emergency sirens continue to blare out in this part of Bedfordshire. Word from the local hospitals of Luton and Dunstable Hospitals, University Hospitals Trust, but also Bedford Hospital, is that they are having to devote a lot of resources to this incident, so please only travel to the emergency A&E if required and needed to, as another emergency ambulance enters the scene behind us. The two trains involved in the collision were the 4:40 p.m. East Midlands Railway service from Corby to London St Pancras and the 3:50 p.m. Nottingham to London St Pancras service, which is the statement that we've got from East Midlands Railway at this time. We have had word from the Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, on the news of that death of somebody involved in this collision. He said, first and foremost, my thoughts are with the family of the person who has sadly lost their lives and with those who have been seriously injured. He's called it a hugely concerning reports of a collision involving two passenger trains near Bedford. The information that we have so far as to how this collision occurred is that one of the trains was stationary, stopped at a red signal, and it was a collision at the rear of the train that has meant this crash took place. Passengers describing the scary, overwhelming scenes on that train, saying that they were unaware of exactly what had happened. One witness describing it as if a bomb had gone off. Seats usually fixed to the floor, seemingly coming loose. People seen with minor and major injuries, trauma injuries, but also blood to different parts of their face and body too. Some people saying that they saw smoke and people were crying. Here at this scene of this train collision, the emergency response continues into the night.
Jack Carson there on the scene in Bedford. Thoughts go out, of course, to all the victims, those who are injured, and of course the poor person who's tragically lost their life. I'll say it again, I said it at the top of the show. Life is short, it's fragile, it's delicate. 1 minute you're hopping on a train on a beautiful English summer's day, the next you're meeting your maker. So yeah, it's sad. Thank you for that, Jack. Still ahead on the Late Show Live this evening.
I would love reconciliation with my family.
Well, perhaps we have the clearest sign yet that royal reconciliation is on the cards for Harry, for his father, the King, maybe even William. Plus... He's still at it. Sleepy Joe Biden is still at it. An awkward moment for the former president at the opening of President Obama's library in Chicago yesterday. All the details on that in just a tick. But first, it's going to be balmy, it's going to be hot. Let's get a quick look at your weather.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello, good morning and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. The Met Office have issued an extreme heat warning for Monday and Tuesday. But before the heat intensifies through the weekend and early next week, actually, today it's cloudier and it's fresher compared to the last couple of days across southern parts of the UK, where we do have a cold front moving through, and that will continue to bring a few spots of rain here and there, especially during the morning, but there'll still be some rain around into the afternoon. Showers for northern Scotland, in between some brighter skies, but more bearable temperatures. And actually, for many parts of the UK, it's a fine day, if rather cloudy. And at least we're not seeing the exceptionally high temperatures just yet. So more comfortable temperatures for Scotland, where it's a brighter day compared with the last few days. Still some showers for northern Scotland, temperatures reaching the mid to high teens. We're talking about 18 for Edinburgh, 20 somewhere across central and southern Scotland. Similar values for Northern Ireland, where it's mostly dry and bright heading into the evening. Best of the sunshine, northern and western England, parts of Wales, the cloud breaking up during the afternoon and more so in the evening. The last spots of rain clear from East Anglia overnight, and then more widespread clear spells heading into the early hours of Sunday. I think we'll still have a few showers through the night time for northern Scotland. Otherwise, for many places, it's dry, still quite muggy. Look at that 21 Celsius dawn on Tuesday in London, mid to high teens in the south, but much fresher for northern parts of the UK, and widespread sunny skies on Sunday. Another decent summer's day, and I think welcome news for Scotland, for Northern Ireland, Northern England. We've seen so much rain recently. There'll be lots of warm sunshine to come. But further south, it's turning hotter, 30, 31 Celsius on Sunday, up to the mid-30s Monday and Tuesday.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Let's get one very last quick look at the Middle East before we look at Joe Biden's latest antics in Chicago at Obama's new library. President Trump's peace deal with Iran faced a shaky start today after fighting between Israel and Hezbollah continued in Lebanon. Trump reportedly told Israel to calm down and use your head after they launched fresh strikes on Beirut this morning. That was in response to Hezbollah's killing of 4 IDF soldiers in southern Lebanon. They've now agreed to a ceasefire, but peace talks that were scheduled to take place in Switzerland today, well, they were postponed amid the fighting with no new date announced. Here was President Trump speaking just a short time ago.
Our country's doing so well. Those ships are flowing out of the Hormuz Strait like nobody's ever seen before, actually. There were a lot of them, about 700 of them, and they're pouring out. The oil is all over the place. You're going to see oil drop so low. I hope the companies are happy about it. And now we have an agreement that was signed last night, and it's 60 days. They have to make a deal. Otherwise, we will do things that won't make them happy, but I don't think it's going to get to that. I think it's going to be very good. Remember, if we do that, then all of a sudden you're not going to have the oil flowing out of the strait too quickly, because people that own billion-dollar ships don't love missiles flying over them, don't love mines all over the water.
Is Director of the Middle East Political and Information Network, Dr. Eric Mandel. Eric, good morning. Thanks for joining GB News and The Late Show Live. Your reaction, please, to what we're hearing, well, I guess about exchange of fire between Israel and Lebanon still, and the President saying to Israel, maybe Netanyahu directly, sort your head out. What are you up to?
So first of all, thank you so much for having me. So let me give you a little bit of the view from the United States. Unlike President Obama's JCPOA, the Iran deal, with Democrats lined up to back the president, with Trump's MOU, many leading Republicans criticizing the deal being far short of our war aims. And the reason is there's nothing specific on the nuclear file, nothing on ballistic missile production, nothing on human rights after 40,000 Iranians were killed in 2 days, nothing on financially supporting proxies, nothing on the permanent reopening of Hormuz. It's only for 60 days. So no matter how much the president or Vice President Vance spins this, that no American taxpayer dollars have been used, the waiving of the oil sanctions is a lifeline to the IRGC. And what makes this all so frustrating is that Iran has never been weaker because of the tactical achievements, and this deal is saving them. So when I look at this, this is who are the losers? The losers are the Gulf nations who now have to deal with an empowered, emboldened Iran, the Israelis who've lost freedom of action, the Iranian people who feel abandoned, the Lebanese people, by the president tying the Iran negotiations to the Israel-Lebanon negotiations, leaves Hezbollah in power. And this undermines American national security interests. And Iran is calculating that the president won't go back to war, will keep extending the ceasefires again and again and again. And so the question is as the Wall Street Journal said, this is a strategic retreat, because Iran is now perceived as more secure, more powerful by both its enemies and its allies like China and Russia.
OK, has it been worth it then? Just very quickly, Eric, has all this been worth it, this excursion to Iran since February the 28th?
It could be, if the president has spoken to the American people to say to them, I need more time. What is this? How does this help our security? What is failure? That blockade was working. Iran was collapsing. And at this point of time, I think an amazing opportunity that was created by the president and the Israelis could be wasted. And the Israelis are worried right now because they are taking incoming fire from Hezbollah, killing soldiers at civilians, and they have lost freedom of action. So hopefully the president can see something clearer going forward. But right now, Israelis across the political spectrum are very worried, and Americans, many, including Republicans, are very worried also for our interests.
All right, Dr. Eric Mandel, thank you so much. Appreciate your contributions to The Late Show Live. You're Director of the Middle East Political and Information Network. Thank you, Dr. Eric. Appreciate it. Right, let's move on to a story that is tickling the interest of my panel here in DC. The former US President Joe Biden sparked a pretty bizarre moment when he drifted back toward the stage at President Obama's library ceremony in Chicago. It was wrapping up. Obama had waltzed off the stage. He was happy with how the event went. And he went off to the music, followed by a smiling former First Lady Jill Biden, while the 46th President, Joe Biden, stood there all by himself, seemingly without a clue of what's going on.
My granddaughter.
Oh dear, what's he saying? Is that my granddaughter? I mean, I don't even want to laugh at him, Greg. It's a bit sad.
Kind of cute. I mean, at least he had an excuse. He was looking for his granddaughter. That's kind of nice. But it's just another moment for Sleepy Joe.
Why did they leave him there? Why's Jill running off?
Yeah, they should have organized him better. They should have had Georgia Maloney there to look after him, like she did at the summit a few years ago.
There should always.
It's so easy to pick on that library, ugliest building in America. Sorry, Marty. My friend is the chairman of the campaign. So.
TJ?
Hope he's not.
Look, I mean, I don't say this gleefully, joyfully, or even to be funny. Somebody always, they owe it to this old man who somebody needs to always be on Biden watch. Somebody needs to be looking after him, whether it's Jill, whether it's one of his kids, something like that. Somebody has to be watching his grandkids. You have to handle him. You have to monitor him, or you're going to make him look bad like that. This guy has been long gone for some time. They should be in the practice of looking after him. It's sad, and not doing it is not fair to him.
Greg, where was Trump? Well, Obama was there. Wasn't Bush there as well?
W. was there.
Clinton,
yeah.
Bill was there.
There's no love lost. There's no love lost between the two, and I noticed you didn't refer to Jill Biden as Dr. Jill.
Well, even she said the other day, "I'm not a doctor."
Yeah,
Did you see that?
Then she corrected herself and said, "Well, I am a doctor." Yeah, that's a joke too.
So why wasn't Trump there? They literally hate him, do they?
Yeah, they're not fond of each other. I can't imagine that.
Because Trump wasn't even at. Who died recently? Which former president died? It was the funeral in DC.
Jimmy Carter.
Jimmy Carter, yeah. Trump wasn't even at the funeral with those the former presidents.
Yeah, there's. I mean, the president is not one to to attend these things out of some sense of obligation. He's a different president. He's not a traditional politician.
Jane and Stella, I'm going to get your reaction to this clip. This was former presidential candidate Hillary Clinton just a few days ago with her own frank critique of Joe Biden.
He made a terrible mistake. He made a terrible mistake for himself, his legacy, and for the country. He had said that he would not run again. So I think it was a terrible miscalculation on the part of President Biden. But once he didn't move and did not admit that he had said he was going to step aside and then decided not to, and held on for as long as he did, we were in a terrible dilemma.
Jane, do you think it would have made much difference if Biden had stepped aside earlier? I don't really. I don't think it mattered who the candidate was, to be frank.
I don't think so. It wasn't great, and it wasn't a good look. And then I think to watch the clip of him now, it's just very sad. And I agree with your panellist. I think it's just such bad stage management, and it's unkind. And I don't know his medical state and issues at the moment, but you do need to manage and make sure the optics around a former president are appropriate, and it just failed, and that's sad. I find it sad more than anything else.
Yeah. Stella, any thoughts on Biden? Should he have stepped aside earlier?
Absolutely, I completely agree with Hillary Clinton for once. He should have he should have from the very beginning, a lot earlier, he should have tried to nurture somebody else to take over his place. It's not just about him, dithering with stepping back and giving it up for Kamala Harris. A lot sooner, he should have allowed for an internal competition within the Democratic Party. He should have allowed his allies, he should have allowed other people within his party to scout for talented people who would be willing and capable of taking over his place. It would have made a difference. It was a tragic mistake, what he did. And I think that, frankly, Keir Starmer should be taking some lessons from that to see that, you know what, dithering when the writing is already on the walls is not going to secure your legacy. It is actually going to leave people with a much, much more bitter taste than if you just made a gracious exit.
I don't think Labour have learned anything from the Conservative term in the last Parliament, because chopping and changing leaders at whim didn't go so well in the last Parliament.
Well, at least Keir Starmer's not turned Easter Sunday into Transgender Day of Visibility at number 10, TJ.
Hey, you know what? Neither did Joe Biden, frankly. He was told to do that. He was an empty vessel by then. Yeah. The whole reason that Joe Biden ended up where he was because he was an empty vessel who didn't know how to say no and would shuffle along and do as told, or somebody else would tell him, And look, and frankly, to what Stella was saying, I think that talented person that was nurtured and brought along to fill his shoes was, in fact, Kamala Harris. She was the vice president. She was the heir apparent. And she crashed and burned because she was pathetic. And, it just showed that the Democrats here in America were in disarray.
Very quickly, Greg, last question to you on this. Who is the Dems now, the Democrats' shining bright star for the future?
Well, the radical left progressive wing of the party is really taking over, and that's really, that's, I think, going to hurt them in the future. So we don't know who it is. It's not a sensible moderate at this point. The other thing that the Biden clip points out, once again, is the great cover-up. I mean, that's just scandalous what they did. Both the Democrats and their media mouthpieces, one of the greatest cover-ups or attempted cover-ups of all time.
Well, Jake Tapper of CNN, he spent 4 years calling anybody who suggested Joe Biden wasn't quite there a conspiracy theorist. And then what did he do? The shameless grifter went and wrote a book about the cover-up. Yeah. You were the cover-up, mate.
A latter-day bit of honesty, yeah.
Right, let's move on. Royal news. A major olive branch to Harry and Meghan. 6 years after Megxit, the couple are returning to the UK. Yay! He was excited. I can't wait. Buzzing. Can't wait to see him. Anyway, there's for the first time in 6 years bringing their 2 children with them. They're set to stay with the royals with security offered by King Charles. The family are expected to travel to the UK for events marking the 1-year countdown to the 2027 Invictus Games in Birmingham, with Meghan and the children only agreeing to join their trip after receiving reassurances from Buckingham Palace. Jane, it's not clear where they're going to stay, but the Sun reckons, if we can look at the front page of the Sun quickly, they'll be staying at one of the royal residencies, maybe Sandringham or potentially somewhere in Windsor Great Park. Are you happy to see them back, Jane? Are you as delighted as I am?
Well, I mean, any family reconciliation should be celebrated to a degree. I think it's sad that the King hasn't got to know his grandchildren. That is sad, but I hope, and I doubt whether it's true, but I hope Harry and Meghan get a little bit more self-awareness, and I hope they've apologised, because some of the things they said, some of the dirty linen they washed in public when our late Queen was very elderly and unwell, and would have caused her enormous distress. And I think that lost Harry and Meghan an enormous amount of goodwill. So I hope things can be mended, but I do think they owe the royal family a bit of an apology over several things.
I think they owe Britain an apology. Apologise to the nation. No, I'm only joking. Yeah, Stella, I'm glad. I'm glad when families reconcile, if that's what's happening here. Are you a big Meghan fan, Stella?
I'm delighted, actually, that they are coming back. And yes, I am a Meghan fan. I really like her. I like Prince Harry as well. I think that they have been treated appallingly. And I'm delighted that they're coming. I think it was completely the right thing. Of course they should be offered security. Of course. What are they expected to do exactly with their family? What is Prince Harry expected to do if he's not allowed to have security? Because remember, he offered to pay for his own security. He never even said, oh, I'm not going to pay, or you need to do that. All the whole problem was that it needed it to be something that is coordinated with the state, with the police, with the Met Police. You can't get that level of security privately, and they wouldn't give that to him, which I think was just appalling. So I'm really glad to see that.
Okay, Greg, why are you exporting your troublemakers back to the UK?
Listen, I'm an optimist, and I hope they kiss and make up and their family has a nice reconciliation. I also hope that they move back to the UK. I like Prince Harry, but it would be great to have the Princess of Montecito exported out of the U.S. to the United Kingdom.
TJ?
Few things are as toe-curling and cringe as her little TV show on Netflix. It's akin to The Office, the original one with Gervais. You
don't like the original Office?
I love the original Office. I'm saying he raised cringe to another level, and that's what it is. But look, every family has estranged people, and I'm rooting for every family to get back to.
I have to say, sorry to America, the US Office is terrible.
Awful.
Sucks.
Awful.
Ricky Gervais, right, before we go, meet a new guest here in America, Merlin the Duck. No, he's not heading towards your duck takeaway at the local Chinese. This is a family pet duck called Merlin, who's become Mexico's ambassador for the FIFA World Cup. Merlin went viral after videos were shared showing the 2-year-old duck waddling through the streets of Mexico City wearing the Mexican team's jersey and customs socks. Greg, I dread to think what's going to happen to Merlin if Mexico get knocked out.
Yeah, I hope they don't sacrifice him in any sort of weird ritual, but it's a really cute story. I love everything that's happening with this world.
He's got like a Liam thing going.
I like
King of the North. He's got like
the Manx swagger.
Yeah.
To be myself.
Well, good luck. England could be playing Mexico in Mexico City in the round of 16. So if all works out well, and I'm fingers crossed this happens, because again, fingers crossed, I'll be going there to report for GB News. That should be insane. Guys, thank you so much for tonight. Jane, thank you. Stella, thank you very much. Greg and TJ as well. Really appreciate you. Biggest thank you of all to the viewers and listeners back home. I love you. I appreciate you. Thank you for your loyalty. I'll see you same time tomorrow night, midnight on GB News. Until then, enjoy your Saturday. Sweet dreams and good night. Mwah. Goodbye.
Today, clouds overhead, total zen within. Boxed Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello, good morning and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. The Met Office have issued an extreme heat warning for Monday and Tuesday. But before the heat intensifies through the weekend and early next week, actually, today, it's cloudier and it's fresher compared to the last couple of days across southern parts of the UK, where we do have a cold front moving through, and that will continue to bring a few spots of rain here and there, especially during the morning, but there'll still be some rain around into the afternoon. Showers for northern Scotland, in between some brighter skies.